Hare Krishna. I'm just checking the audio. Hare Krishna. Yes. All right. So today is a special seminar or webinar rather on Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, and because his appearance day is just 2 days away, 2026. So let us learn about the kind of preacher that Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was, and the kind of preaching, the kind of mood of preaching, the mood and method of preaching that he pioneered, that we should carry forward. Because it's not about only what Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura did, but because he's our predecessor Acharya, we have to, and Srila Prabhupada carried forward the same mood, and we also should understand that because it's not easily understood. And therefore, we are going to have this special session based on a chapter from this book, Shri Bhaktisiddhānta Vaibhav, Volume 1. There's this chapter called The Revolutionary Preacher of Truth. So this is the characteristics of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura and what we can learn and how we should be proper descendants in the Sampradaya by applying the mood and method of our predecessor Acharyas, headed by Srila Prabhupada and his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, who more or less, not more or less, in fact, historically formally institutionalized the preaching mission. We will dive deep into this. So welcome to the session. So today we'll be saying a Mangalacharan prayer, which is a little bit different because we will include Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's mantra also, Pranam mantra. And since we are including his, we might as well include the Vaishnava Acharyas and the full Mangalacharan prayers, which will be a little bit of a different order than usual. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dhvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambhode Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gauravirbhava Bhumistvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvaswapadam Bhojau Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanastho Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshthali Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambhi Vamshi Vatatatastitah Karshan Venu Swanair Gopir Gopinathah Shriyestunah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we will quickly dive into this because we have a lot of ground to cover and a lot of difficult words as well. So we'll have to constantly look up the dictionary. So let's go forward. So chapter 2, this is, well, when we say chapter 2, it's kind of not exactly chapter 2, but in that section. So never mind the numericals. The revolutionary preacher of truth. So I'll just read on, and whenever I feel like there is an explanation that can be given, and I'll just comment on it. All right. The spiritually minded will judge. By the way, okay, just a word before we go ahead. You see this indent? There is an indent here in this text. This is the normal indent. This is the indent when it is a quote, when it is a quotation of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura or one of the publications during his time. Right. So the first, this thing is actually a quotation, and it is a quotation from Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura himself. The spiritually minded will judge how many major revolutions in history compared to the revolutionary preaching by the Gaudiya Math against the materialistic thought patterns of the world. And if we go to the footnote, it's in the GV. Okay, let me see what GV is. I have the physical copy of the book here. Srila Prabhupada Golok Vani. There's a book in Bengali. Prabhupada Golok Vani 3.267. Okay, and SJ is Saraswati Jayashri. Saraswati Jayashri is a very interesting book. It's about the pastimes of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, and it was published in 1935 by his disciple Shripad Sundarananda Vidyavinod Prabhu. And Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said about that book, this is prior to his disappearance. So Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was still in the world, and the Saraswati Jayashri is a compilation of all the pastimes of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura as remembered by his disciples. And he himself, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura himself, went through the whole book, and he said, this book is so elevated that by reading it, it is more than reading all the Vedic literatures combined. I think many times over, something like that. So that is Saraswati Jayashri. So 33rd chapter and from that. And Srila Prabhupada Golok Vani, which is the GV 3.267, maybe third volume, 267th page. Okay. So going back. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī inherited the urge to preach from his father and mentor, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. energized by the Thakur's vision of Shuddha Bhakti diffusing throughout the globe, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī had an unrelenting drive to deliver Shuddha Bhakti to all jivas in the universe and even to those beyond it. Okay, just a note again. This screen, I have chosen landscape for this lecture because you see the words are very small and it's a PDF, so I can't really enlarge it without the words going out of screen. So you can, while the live is going on or after the live is finished and in the recording, you can actually zoom in to the text. If you can skip seeing my face, not that important. The text is the most important part here. Anyway, my voice will be there reading the text. And so if you want to zoom into the text, if you want to see that, you can do so. In a vertical live stream, it's not possible during live, but it's possible after the live. But this will make it possible in both formats. So that's why I chose this format of landscape for this session. All right. So moving forward, so Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura inherited this urge to preach. That's very interesting phrase there. Not just the necessity or the importance to preach, the importance of preaching, no. Inherited the urge to preach. It's an urge because it's urgent. Without preaching, the whole world is going to hell. Whole world is going to a hellish suffering, hellish destination. The world itself and the inhabitants of the world. So the world itself will go to hell, and so the future generations which come into it will inherit a chaotic dystopian world, and the inhabitants now who are indwelling, they will go to hell after this. So both ways, it's going to be a lose-lose. So there's an urge to preach. Without Krishna consciousness, it's going to be chaotic all around. So Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura inherited the urge to preach from his father and mentor Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, energized by the Thakur's vision of Shuddha Bhakti diffusing throughout the globe. Now, regarding that vision of Shuddha Bhakti diffusing throughout the globe is very important because Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura multiple times said this, that this Hare Krishna movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, will soon spread throughout the world. And people from all parts of the world will take to it. And it's not, and in order to fulfill that, we know Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura preached vigorously within India and a little bit outside India as well. Prabhupada took it all over the world, but still there is unlimited scope for increasing or expansion of this movement, right? Because so many people still don't know. The vast population of this world do not know. We have to become the mainstay, and that was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's vision of Shuddha Bhakti, that this Gaudiya Vaishnavism will become the main religion of the world. The main religion of the world, and every other religion will join into it as tributaries join into a large river. So he particularly made that comment. Somewhere in this book it must be also quoted, but in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, there are many times it is mentioned, that particular quote. So he energized, so Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is energized by the Bhaktivinoda Thakur's vision of Shuddha Bhakti diffusing throughout the globe. And so he had an unrelenting drive to deliver Shuddha Bhakti to all jivas in the universe and even to those beyond it. And this is not an exaggeration. No, he only preached in India. What universe and beyond universe? He never crossed the border of India himself. See, this was his desire. And only by his mercy, Prabhupada was empowered. Then Prabhupada did the thing all over the world, and it will expand even more. It will expand even more. So, how those arrangements are supposed to be made, that's Krishna, how he will make it. But even within this world, we have unlimited scope for expansion of this movement. We cannot be on the sidelines of society and watching the society go to hell. No, we have to take control of the narratives, control of the movement of the world by preaching Krishna consciousness. Then people will come back to sanity. And we have to do that. That's our contribution to the world, contribution to Krishna, contribution to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is ever anxious that the suffering souls of this world are, going to hell. Okay, so going forward, reading on, He wanted to capture the whole territory of Maya and convert it to Krishna consciousness. That's the mood. Capture the whole territory of Maya and convert it to Krishna consciousness. He could not tolerate that there be any place devoid of Krishna bhakti. That is his mood. He cannot tolerate that there be any place devoid of Krishna bhakti. This is very important because it very much resonates with how I have been feeling. I think a year. I think of almost what. A little more than a year ago, I was in India because my father passed away, and went for the funeral rites and all that. After that, we went to a few holy places and did some preaching work, seva and all that. So every time I used to go to the holy places or temples, I see so many people. Like I went to Tirupati as well and other temples as well. I see so many people standing in queues for darshan, and it looks like all right, but I wasn't very much satisfied. I was always getting upset because it was intolerable to see people just come and go without really experiencing the real spiritual life of Krishna consciousness. And I have been feeling that urge that this is not good at all. That people just come to the temple. I can't just be happy that people come to the temple and it's all Krishna conscious, everybody's Krishna. They're not. Let's face it, they're not. They have some piety left, and that's why they're still coming to the temple, taking darshan and standing in queues and all that. But the in-depth understanding is not there. And without that, there will be no transformation of the people, and there will be no transformation of the society as a whole. So it's not enough. So let's read on. He could not tolerate that there be any place devoid of Krishna bhakti, not restricted within the cultural horizon of Bengal. He wanted to annihilate misconceptions at all levels in all cultures of human society and implement full-fledged theism, in quotations. I think it must be from somewhere that Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura would have mentioned it, I'm guessing. Quote unquote, full-fledged theism everywhere. Implement, not just preach, implement. It comes to not just speaking about it, preaching about it, but also executing it, implementing it, so that practically people adopt that lifestyle, that mood of thinking, that lifestyle, everything. Full-fledged theism, annihilate misconceptions at all levels, in all cultures. So we should remember those phrases, and you will see the theme in this whole chapter, that being the mainstay. That theme is the mainstay of this chapter. So even though seemingly impossible, he took it as his duty to spread Shuddha Bhakti by all means and at any cost. And when we say at any cost, he really meant it. He did not hesitate to spend any amounts of money, even with his life. We will see all of that. To establish Lord Chaitanya's mission, the fetters of caste and caste, ritual, and indeed all pre-existing stereotypes and dogmas would have to be demolished. Let's see, the fetters means what? Oh, Krishna. A chain or manacle used to restrain a prisoner, typically placed around the ankles, shackles, basically, handcuffs, shackles. So the fetters of caste, so these caste rituals, this caste consciousness and rituals, just externally following some karmakandi rituals, and all existing stereotypes and dogmas. Stereotypes means, Brahmana means must be like this, he has to have all preconceived notions which are not based in Shastra but based on some tradition somewhere, misplaced traditions, which became stereotypes, as we have to follow. So conventional methods, no, he wanted to break free from everything. He did not want to conform to a particular set of rules that were followed in society. Whatever it took to spread Krishna consciousness, he adopted that. And dogmas means, as you can see, we will look up dogma, It's actually, you see, a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as incontrovertibly true. So we should just follow it like this. We should do like this. We should not do like this. Why? No understanding. Simply dogma. We have to understand not just the rule, but also the spirit of the rule. So, to establish Lord Chaitanya's mission, the fetters or the shackles of caste, ritual, and indeed all pre-existing stereotypes and dogmas would have to be demolished. Hence, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī inevitably became a revolutionary. Who's a revolutionary? Person who goes against the tide, goes against against the grain of society, against the norms of society, and establishes a new arc in history, a new wave of thought, a wave of a culture, the trendsetters, the pioneers who break from the shackles and the corridors of how to say contemporary thought or culture, who shift, the culture shifters. So he is a culture shifter, revolutionary. His efforts were concentrated in Bengal, sorry, that's in a typo, were concentrated in Bengal, where Gaudiya Vaishnavism had lost its original dynamism. So although he had this worldwide mission that he wanted to fulfill, this worldwide mission of establishing Krishna consciousness. But he started in Bengal. You have to start somewhere. So it was all, there was no organization. There was no organization of Vaishnava preaching at all. Even Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he preached to different educated people and common folk, but he did not establish rigid institutions to carry forward the preaching mission and the whole collections and everything, and constructing temples. In that way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not do. He wrote a lot, and he preached. But the organization, the institutionalization of preaching was pioneered by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. So his efforts were concentrated in Bengal, where Gaudiya Vaishnavism had lost its original dynamism, and from the ethnological perspective had transmuted into yet another component of the vast heterogeneous mosaic known as Hinduism. See, this is we have to identify this warning and danger, impending danger. If we lose the dynamism of preaching, what is the dynamism of preaching? The dynamism of preaching will be explained in a very short while in the next paragraph or something. If we lose that dynamism of preaching, we will transmute ourselves. What is it? Okay, so transmute means how to say change into or descend into. Let's look up. Transmute, change in form, nature or substance. Yeah, alter, modify, become transformed into yet another component of the vast heterogeneous mosaic. You know what's a mosaic? Mosaic means when you see mosaic tile, a lot of small tiles, small stones put together and then made into tile. It's like a mix of all kinds of things. So Hinduism is a mosaic of all kinds of heterogeneous mosaic. Means it's not all homogeneous. All in a mosaic, all may not be of the same size. All the shapes and colors. Some can be bigger, some can be smaller. Some can be very, very small, almost like a dot. So it's a mosaic. So this is Hinduism is a mosaic, and then this is one of the parts of that Hinduism. We will degenerate into that, a degeneration, a devolution of our dynamic Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It will lose its dynamism if we do not constantly distinguish ourselves from the regular mosaic of Hinduism. We have to stand apart. Although widespread, Vaishnava dharma was enveloped by a thick fog of nescience. So this is the thing. It's widespread, but we can't be. It was widespread even during Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's time. Everybody knew about Vaishnavism. Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaudiya Vaishnavism. They knew, but thick fog of nescience was covering it. What does that mean? Superficial following or observance of some main festivals, that's not, we cannot be happy with that. We cannot be happy. We need to see people, especially Goshthanandi. Our movement is Goshthanandi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is Goshthanandi, means we should be happy when there are more followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is Haridas Thakur's promise to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we, being followers of Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami, should carry that same desire. Haridas Thakur said, Chinta na kore ho. Yavaner Jivan dekhi dukha na bhave ho. So he said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'm very unhappy seeing all these people not taking to Krishna consciousness. And Haridas Thakur comforted him and said, don't be anxious. We will preach. So we should remove the anxiety of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by increasing the number of people who follow his teaching. So that is called Goshti. Goshti means congregation. So we should increase the more the congregation of the pure congregation. We don't want just diluted congregation where nobody follows anything, just we have numbers. No, we want quality numbers. And as we increase that, we should become more and more happy. That should be our source of bliss, Goshthanandi. We cannot be Bhajananandi. That means they're just satisfied with their own worship. No. Prahlad Maharaj taught us, we have to increase. How can I leave these poor fools and rascals? I want to take everybody back home, back to Godhead. So that should be our mission. So that's the preacher's mood and method. So let's say ethnological perspective. So for ethnological means it's a combination, the study of the characteristics of different peoples and the differences and relationships between them. Ethnology. So those who try to see that all the different cultures and ethnological perspective, ethnology of Hinduism. So we just can't be a part of that. We have to stand out because we don't belong there. That's not our place. Although widespread, Vaishnava dharma was enveloped by a thick fog of nescience, having become synonymous with artificial shows of ecstasy, which is very famous in Bengal even now. They'll be crying, oh, Gorango, they'll cry. And then after that, smoke bidi, too hot. Smoke bidi. So, the Vaishnava dharma became synonymous with artificial shows of ecstasy, mantras imparted for money. You give me some money, I'll give you mantra. Flesh-eating devotees, fish-eating devotees, meat-eating devotees, so-called devotees, Vaishnava, but meat-eating. Cheaters competing to be lauded as avatars. Siddha Pranali, initiation for the asking. Yeah, that means, they get initiated into Siddha Pranali. They want to attain their original position in spiritual world. Oh, I'm a parrot, I'm a peacock, I'm a gopi, I'm a gopa, I'm this and that. All this cheap, became very cheap. And descriptions of the amorous pastimes of Sri Sri Radha Krishna bandied about like cheap market gossip. Bandied about means distributed and like spoken about Radha Krishna Leela as if there's a cheap market gossip, bazaar gossip, which is the highest. Ras Leela and all this Gopi Bhava, all this is the highest. We cannot talk about this in common public as if it's a very cheap thing. That's not our domain. We cannot just go there. In this way, Prakrita Sahajiyas means those who take lofty things very cheaply, as if they have easy access to that, and as if it can be distributed to anybody and everybody without any prerequisite qualification. In this way, Prakrita Sahajiyas had etiolated. Okay, let's see what is etiolated. Have lost vigor or substance, feeble, became pale and drawn out due to a lack of light. of a plant, lost the vigor. So the Prakrita Sahajiyas had etiolated the movement of Lord Chaitanya. They diluted, they made it, they stripped it of all the dynamism that it had. So had etiolated the movement of Lord Chaitanya into a foolish and immoral travesty of Vaishnava Dharma. Travesty means, how to say, a cheap version of that. You know, let's see how it is defined, travesty. A false, absurd, distorted representation of something. Yeah. Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura had to re-establish the genuine parampara, which had all but vanished. This is exactly what Krishna comes for, and his acharyas come, his devotees come for as acharyas. That's their mission. You see, dharmasya glanir, yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, tadatmanam srijamyaham. Abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. You see, whenever there is a dharma glani, dharmasya glani, decline in religious principles, Krishna comes. But sometimes he may not come directly, he may send his devotee to do the same mission. And if the preaching is not there, if the dynamic preaching is not there, preaching also there are stages. Dynamic, the original mood of the preaching, if it is not there, punya shravana kirtanam means the original. Punya means, of course, pious, not just ordinary pious, transcendental pious, bhakti-unmukhi, sukriti. But not just that, it's a Bhagavad Dharma proper, but also punya shravana kirtanam means the original method of shravana and kirtan, and we should never lose sight of that. We will learn a lot about that in this chapter. Okay, so Sarasvatī Ṭhākura had to re-establish the genuine parampara, which Krishna did in Bhagavad Gita, right? He mentioned of that. Evam parampara praptam, then yogo nashta parantava, then saevayam mayate the yoga proktah puratanaham. I am reviving that today again to you, with you, Arjuna. To purge the Gaudiya lineage of impurities, he publicly decried ecclesiastical and social conventions that were suffocating Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sampradaya. Ecclesiastical means the religious clergy, the religious heads, the pandits, those who have been holding the monopoly of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement and strangulating it. He came to decry and destroy that. And social conventions of so-called Hindu society, he wanted to clean the society of all these misconceptions and rigid culture. He's a revolutionary culture shifter, basically. And these things were suffocating the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sampradaya. He wanted to rid the Sampradaya of all such impurities and establish the real Shastric conclusion and implement it. Not just say what is right, but actually implement it so that it actually gets he gets people to follow it. Animated with the heroic spirit of Hanuman in opposing Ravana, Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura committed himself to a lifetime of struggle against the beneficiaries of the rotten status quo. So status quo means the condition at that time, societal condition, and it was rotten. Who are the beneficiaries of that rotten status quo? The Brahmins, the Smartha Brahmanas, the Jat Gosais, the hereditary, they were benefiting a lot by keeping that status quo. They're not helping anyone, but because everybody worships Brahmanas and calls them for dakshina and this and that, they used to keep it like that, and also instill fear in people that if you don't serve the Brahmanas, you will get, it's going to be very inauspicious for you, and all kinds of things to manipulate the public so that their position, their material position and their orthodoxy can be maintained without any function of the Brahmanas being actually meted out. So he wanted to attack that. So committed himself, Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura committed himself to a lifetime of struggle. Preacher means that. As a preacher, this is what we have to commit ourselves to. We have to commit ourselves to a lifetime of struggle. Okay, we cannot have a happy, easy life. No, that's not what we're signing up for. Vipadah santu ta shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunar bhavadarsanam. So Kunti Devi said, I want all those calamities again and again. So because in that way I can always see you, and by seeing you, there will be no more seeing of birth and death. And that's what we should adopt. That attitude we should adopt in the preaching movement. Right? Preaching means fighting. What is that? Preaching means fighting. Although Indian society had traditionally been deeply religious, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura insisted that mere theocentricity was not sufficient. Theo means anything, theo means God, related to God or the absolute truth. Theocentricity means God in the center. Okay, they consider God as the main mover of things. But Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura insisted that mere theocentricity was not sufficient. Thus, he openly criticized beliefs and practices held sacral by most Hindus. And that is not an easy task. So, related to sacred rites or symbols, related to sacrum. So, considered sacred. Beliefs and practices held sacral by most Hindus. He openly criticized them, such as impersonalism and demigod worship. He criticized it. With unfaltering determination, he uninhibitedly cudgeled. Cudgel means hammered. Right? Cudgel means hammering, right? A short, thick stick used as a weapon. Okay. A bludgeon, stick, club. Yeah. Thick stick. Basically, what is it called? Lathi. It's a hard stick. It's not a normal stick. It's a very hard stick, like hard wood. So, uninhibitedly cudgeled various misrepresentations of Vaishnava Dharma, business in the name of religion, casteism, atheism, Western cultural chauvinism, sensualism posing as spirituality, and innumerable forms of opinionative and deviant philosophies, whatever fell short of pure devotion to Krishna. Whatever fell short of pure devotion to Krishna, he cudgeled, hammered. This was in accord with the intrinsic purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. Very, very important. This was in accord with the intrinsic purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, which singularly among scriptures established the topmost understanding of Supreme Lord and the individual soul's relationship with Him, and expounded Dharmaha Projhita Kaitavaha, complete rejection of religious principles that are selfishly motivated. And sometimes it is understood as Dharma Projhita Kaitavatra means in the Bhagavatam all sorts of cheating religion are kicked out. So only the Bhagavad Dharma, pure devotional service is discussed. That's how it's understood. But there is another meaning of Dharma Projhita Kaitava, means the active throwing out of Kaitava Dharma is also there in the Bhagavatam. Not just, in the Bhagavatam, all the Kaitava Dharma topics are thrown out and not dealt with. Only the real Dharma is dealt with, Sadharma. No. Because Dharmagno Dharmavad Tyajet. Let me, I don't know if I can, I need to switch. I need to switch between, and it will take time. So 7, 15, 12, if just give me a second, I will probably show it. So screen. Okay. Now here, if we go here, 7, 15, 12. Dharmagyaha adharmavat tyajet. Vidharmaha paradharmascha abhasa upama chalaha adharma shakhaha panchema dharmagno dharmavat tyajet. Dharmagnya means one who is aware of religious principles. Adharmavat means accepting them as irreligious. Tyajet. There are 5 branches of irreligion, appropriately known as irreligion, vidharma, religious principles for which one is unfit, paradharma, pretentious religion, abhasa, analogical religion, upadharma, and cheating religion, chaladharma. One who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 as irreligious. In order to abandon them, we have to identify them, otherwise, we don't know what to abandon. So, identification and active throwing out. Pra-ujhita. Ujhita means take out. Projhita means pra-ujhita. Prakrishta rupena ujhita. Prakrishta rupena ujhita means the active throwing out of Kaitava Dharma is also the mission of Srimad Bhagavatam and the mission of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. Why am I mentioning that? Because sometimes we think preaching means only about Krishna consciousness. Don't talk about other things. No, no, no. We have to talk about other things and kick them out. Actively distinguish it from the real thing. If we're not doing that, then Dharma Projhita Kaitava doesn't happen. Kaitava Dharma will come inside, within us and within others. So to protect ourselves and others, we have to always pronounce what is even Kaitava Dharma and actively understand and identify and abandon it. And help others identify and abandon it. This one. नासतो विद्यते भावो नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोन्तस्त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. And ubhayorapi drishtaha antas tvanayos tattvadarshibhihi. The last 2 lines are very important, and it can be used in this context. Ubhayo, of the two. Of the two means asatah and satah. Asatah means of the non-existent. But here, in this context of 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it refers to the body, which is asat, and the atma is sat. But that extends to other aspects. Asatah means non-existent. Asat, like sadharma and asad dharma. So, na asataha vidyate bhavaha, na abhavaha vidyate sataha. So, we have to know what is sataha. Satsanga means what? Those who associate for the sat, not for asat. Asat sanga tyaga. So, in order to identify what is asat sanga tyaga, in order to do asat sanga tyaga, we have to know what is asat. And of course, asat sanga tyaga means the non-devotee association, but anything non-devotional. Asat sanga tyaga, a Vaishnava achar, and nasato vidyate bhavaha. There is no endurance. Fleeting, it's all fleeting. So no point really investing our minds there, but we have to identify it though, because it will come to pollute the sadharma. Like in the Gundicha Marjan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took out all the dust and he swept it far away, swept it outside the temple room, but also carried it and threw it far away because so that it may not enter again. That throwing far away is the Projhita Kaitavatra, Projhita Kaitava Dharma. So we have to not allow that to come back in. Ubhayor api drishtontas, of the two, api drishtaha, observed. So see, drishtaha means observed, antaha means conclusion, Vedanta, conclusion. So we have to come to conclusion of what is right, what is wrong. We have to always be discerning between the two. And therefore, in order to separate the two, we have to cut it and not let it mix. For that, the sword of knowledge must be very sharp. So not only get knowledge, but also serve and make it sharp. Drishtontaha tvanayos tattvadarshibhi. So, this they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So we have to study the nature of both Asat and Sat in the Dharma category as well. Very important. Okay, now we will go back to that. I wanted to show another thing. Yeah. So this is directly in relation with this as well. 1830, for example. प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च कार्य अकार्ये भय अभये बंधम मोक्षम च या व्यक्ति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ सात्विकी. So a person in the mode of goodness, he is able to distinguish what is Sat and what is Asat. O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. Next, this is the point where we cannot, when we don't do Kaitava Dharma Projhita, this is what happens. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyameva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhihi sapartha rajasi. Mode of passion comes in. What does it do? Creates confusion, mix up. Because adharma cannot directly come in. It will come in the garb of dharma first and eventually oust dharma and take its place. This is how from sattvic to tamasic we will go. Tamasic, everything is clear. Rajasic, everything is muddled. And tamasic, everything is perverted. Everything becomes opposite of what it should be. So you see Rajasic. O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. When we say dharma se glani, the decline of religious principles, this is exactly what it means. From clarity to lack of clarity to perversion. Adharmam dharmam itiya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhihi sapartha tamasi. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction, or Partha, is in the mode of ignorance. So dharma se glani, this is how it happens. And unless we constantly dharma projhita kaitava, unless we do that, it's going to infiltrate and muddle and eventually pervert the whole thing. Okay? So therefore, this dharma projhita kaitava is very, very important. Now we will go back to that. All right, back here. So this was in accord with the intrinsic purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, which singularly among scriptures, that means the only scripture which says it straight, established the topmost understanding of the Supreme Lord and the individual soul's relationship with Him, and expounded dharma projhita kaitavaha, the active throwing out, complete rejection of religious principles that are selfishly motivated. Holding that every word of Srimad Bhagavatam outweighs any other opinion, past, present, or future, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī likened all religious processes save that given in Bhagavatam to jars of poison with a little milk floating on top, and composed a distich based on Bhagavatam's rejection of motivated religious practices. What is a distich? This thing, this couplet. A pair of verse lines, a couplet, yeah. A distich. Distic is how it's pronounced. Distic. So he composed this distic. Prithivite jata katha dharma nama chale bhagavata kohe taha paripurna chale. Yeah, this is very nice. So you see, he always considers the Bhagavatam, every word of Bhagavatam to outweigh. That means always it is a greater, it is more important. It is always right. Bhagavatam is always right, and it outweighs any other opinion, past, present, or future. And therefore, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said, every other religious process accept this Bhagavad Dharma, pure devotional service, are jars of poison. You drink poison, but with a little bit milk floating on top. So it looks like milk on top, yeah, it's milk, yeah. But actually it's all poison inside. And then he composed this distich. What does it mean? Prithivite ache joto, Prithivite joto katha dharma nama chale. Whatever goes on in the name of dharma on the earth, in this world, Bhagavat kohe, Bhagavatam says, taha paripurna chale. It is a complete cheating, kaitava dharma. So Bhagavatam states that whatever in the world is passing as dharma is actually wholesale deception. Now that's the actual. Paripurna means complete cheating, deception. Paripurna chale. And let us see where it is written. There's a footnote here. Based on a statement in Srimad Bhagavatam 112, this pronouncement is from a poem by Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, given as a summarizing comment in an edition of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Jaiva Dharma that he published. Much of Jaiva Dharma is given to comparing various religious paths to Shuddha Bhakti. Okay, so this is a summarizing comment of the Jaiva Dharma that was written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which he published, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura published, but this was a epilogue, part of the epilogue. Okay. Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura lived for truth, and like a valiant warrior, that means courageous warrior, never hesitated to attack the myriad manifestations of falsity. Personifying the spirit of Srimad Bhagavatam by insisting that the highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Shivadam. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam. Shivadam means bestowing auspiciousness, welfare of all. So reality, the highest truth, is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. We have to distinguish reality from illusion for the welfare of all. He effectively sifted out the real from the unreal. Separate. Sifted out means separate. The servant of the real from the servant of the unreal. The Vaishnava from the non-Vaishnava. There is a footnote. Let's go there. Hence the title of the Harmonist magazine. Oh, here. Sorry. Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Shivadam. This Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth, reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. For the full verse, okay, this is just that. He never countenanced the slightest deviation from the truth. Countenance is face, but there is another here. It is used as a verb, and verb means something else. Let's see more. To support, support or approval. That means he never gave approval to the slightest deviation from the truth. He never countenanced the slightest deviation. He never supported or approved of the slightest deviation from the truth, not even by the most eminent or nearest and dearest persons, and would detect, expose, and dissect even the subtlest presence of fallacy in theories and statements that to others appeared entirely plausible. You see how sharp he was, how sharp he was. We should notice that. So he would detect, expose, and dissect even the subtlest presence of fallacy in theories and statements that to others appeared entirely plausible. He held that all prevalent so-called truths point only to a limited ideal formulated by subjective projection, and thus are actually untruths and impasses in realizing the truth. Impasses means obstacles, if I'm not wrong. a situation in which no progress is possible, especially because of disagreement, a deadlock. Okay, it's a deadlock in realizing the truth, an impasse, or is pronounced as impasse. Okay, so untruths and impasse. So you see, he held that all prevalent so-called truths at that time, whatever were considered truths, point only to a limited ideal formulated by subjective projection. Whatever they think is, correct, whatever is the societal acceptable, um, um, how to say, what is the word, acceptable norm. Let's use that word for a lack of a better word in my head right now. So it's a subjective projection only, but they're actually untruths and impasses in realizing the truth. Like, for example, today, religious tolerance is very much encouraged by many governments, and that means that we should coexist, and we should just respect others, and not like offend, or not to like just exist, and which is good on the surface, but we should actually encourage everyone to follow the purest form of their religion that is relevant to this age, the purest form of their religion. And we should dig, we should do some, and that means maybe throwing out some of the misconceptions that may have crept in and have become the status quo. So that has to be addressed. It's like we take bath every day or multiple times a day, and we clean the temple room and house every day, sweeping, mopping. So this dust will come. If we don't clean, the dust will come, and therefore constant cleaning must be there. This constant cleaning, when every time you think that, okay, what, I just hate that the dust comes back again, because if only the dust did not come back and there was no need of cleansing. But Krishna did it in this way that the dust will come back, so that to remind us that the dust on our clear consciousness, Chetodarpana Marjana, must happen all the time. If we don't do, oh, I am now cleansed, I am forever cleansed. No, the dust will come back. Maya is like that. Krishna bahirmukha Krishna bahirmukha bhogavancha kare, nikatastha maya tare, japatiya dhare. So nikatastha, Maya is very near, waiting to come back. So it has to be constantly done. Constant dharma projita kaitavatra must be there in ourselves and in the society at large. Otherwise, it will come back. These impurities will creep in, and the parampara will be diluted and lost. Yogo nashta. Sakale neha mahata. By the powerful force of time, the parampara became diluted and destroyed. What does that force of time means? By the force of time, if there is not constant restoration of the purity of the parampara and the devotional teachings in ourselves and in others, the dust will come back and cover the entire thing again. He exhorted. Exhorted means stressed, right? Let's see. Strongly encouraged or urged. So he urged everyone. He exhorted. So this is Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's quote. Do not try to discover the nature of truth by the exercise of your imagination. Do not endeavor to attain the truth through experience of this world. Do not manufacture truth in order to satisfy your erring inclinations. Erring inclinations means your mistaken inclinations. You don't want to, like, we don't want to follow the right path. So to make it convenient for us, we dilute the path so that it becomes acceptable to everyone, and so that we can fit in and we can maintain our status quo and be known as a good devotee or whatever. No, we have to constantly correct ourselves and others. Help others correct themselves. So you see, so first thing, do not discover the nature of truth by the exercise of your imagination. Don't imagine. Don't endeavor to attain the truth through experience of this world. Imagination by your, speculation or experience, physical experience of this world. And do not manufacture the truth in order to satisfy your erring inclinations, or hastily accept anything for the reason that it satisfies such inclinations. Something that satisfies my inclinations, and therefore I hastily accept it. Yes, I agree to this. No, we should be willing to accept the truth and not to stay with my biases, my inclinations. My my tendency should be, I should cultivate this mood where I should be ready to give up whatever a conception or misconception I had so far and refine it constantly to match the standard that needs to be in order for the movement to be pure. Right? What else he said? Do not regard as truth anything that has been built up or has the support of a majority of people like yourself. Something which has been hyped up, built up. Don't regard as truth. Don't go with the popular vox populi, the opinion of the population, majority of opinion. No, don't go for that. Because why? Do not regard as truth anything that has been built up or has the support of a majority of people like yourself, nor as untruth anything that is rejected by the overwhelming majority. Just because the overwhelming majority of people reject something, that does not necessarily mean that it is untruth. Classic example, social media today. You can get millions of views, likes, and our videos hardly get anything. Does that mean we are not bona fide just because we don't have the fame, or those who are famous, they are more popular? No, don't go with that. This is one example. In ideas, in especially the religion, the understanding of religion, whatever is the majority. In fact, what he's saying in the next sentence, you see, he's saying, first of all, just because majority is accepting something, don't regard it as truth. Just because majority is not accepting something, don't regard it as untruth. Don't base your acceptance of something based on the majority opinion. Because why? According to the scriptures, there will be found hardly one in a crore of human beings. A crore means 10 million. 10 million. Millions. Hardly found one in a millions of human beings who really worships the truth. Manushanam sahasreshu. Right? Muktanam api siddhanam. Narayana parayana. Prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. And then Manushanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin vettimam tattvataha. So Krishna Tattvavetta is not an ordinary thing. The knower of the signs of Krishna is not an ordinary person. Right? So what is proclaimed by the united voices of all the people of this world as truth may turn out to be false. Therefore, cease to confront the truth in a challenging mood. Stop to confront the truth in a challenging mood. Based on the vox populi, based on this research, that research of the materialists. Don't come with the strength of these evidences and challenge the truth. No, he's saying don't do that. The truth is not brought into existence by such arrogance. One has to approach the truth in the spirit of absolute submission. It is necessary to listen to truth. It is necessary to listen to truth. Truth is self-revealing, and only when it is pleased to reveal itself can its actual nature be known to us and not otherwise. And this very much absolutely ties into that Drigdrishya Vichar we have seen in previous lectures recently. Drigdrishya Vichar means it's not that I will figure out the truth. I will use my research capabilities. I will depend on my unbiased investigatory powers, no chance in hell. Okay, no chance in hell, because we're always biased. We cannot be unbiased. There's no such thing as unbiased. We have to base our word on the scriptures. Otherwise, you're biased against the scriptures. You cannot have your own independent, unfounded standard of what is the definition of an unbiased position. You can't. So everything has to be seen from Krishna's point of view. Otherwise, it is a prejudice against his point of view. You cannot see it from a neutral ground. Cannot. So, Drigdrishya Vichar means, as Prabhupada said, as Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said, don't try to see God. Don't try to see God. Don't try to have darshan of God. Consider whether you have the qualification, whether you deserve the darshan of God, whether God wants to see you or not, whether we are worthy enough for God to see us or not. What are we doing? What am I doing on a daily basis? Do I deserve a place in devotional service? Do I deserve a place within Vaishnavas? Do I deserve for the truth to be revealed to me? Will the truth, the philosophy of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. So, will the philosophy reveal itself to me? Will the philosophy, will the truth be pleased to reveal itself to me or not? So, in order to do that, I have to submit. I cannot challenge. I cannot challenge. And we cannot compromise as well. Once we know the truth, then we cannot compromise. Then, he explained why broadcasting the truth was rare. Okay? Why broadcasting the truth was rare. Because this is his quote. So let's see what the other quote just now. This was a quote, right? There was an indent. This is an indent here. So that means it's a quote. So there is a footnote here. Let's see where it is from. Number 4, Harmonist, March 1928. So in the Harmonist magazine, there's this article where he wrote this. All right, so let's go back there. And the next 5 is from the Gaudiya magazine, 14th issue, 14th volume, 171th page, whatever. So Gaudiya is another magazine, Bengali magazine. During his time, editor was Sundarananda Vidya Vinod Prabhu, who was the most brightest star at that time among Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's disciples. So he's saying, everyone is eager for adoration by others. Everyone is eager for adoration by others, not for the absolute truth. Those who make a show of being preachers do not disturb mankind. Let's hear that again. Those who make a show of being preachers do not disturb mankind. That means the real preachers, they do disturb mankind. So those who make a show of being preachers do not disturb mankind, but rather maintain everyone's present mentality while busily protecting their own existence. This is what? A show bottle preacher. He's not agitating the currents of thought of the world. A revolutionary preacher of truth, the title of this chapter and this seminar, this webinar, is exactly the opposite of that. A revolution in the preaching, culture shifter. So we have to, because Manushanam Sahasreshu, Kaschit, so we are a minority. So we should, by definition, accept the fact that the majority are going to be against this. So whatever we're going to say is going to disturb mankind. When Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, don't disturb them, encourage them in the preaching, in the mood of devotion. Yes, but we got to prod a little bit. We can't just, and that's what exactly Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is saying here. He's more merciful. This disturbing mankind is actually more mercifulness than not disturbing them. The devotees are more kind, more merciful than the Lord himself. So those who make a show of being preachers do not disturb mankind, but rather maintain everyone's present mentality while busily protecting their own existence. That's why we should not pander to them hoping to get their likes on our videos or our social media posts. No, that's not what we should aim for. We should just tell the truth, plain truth, whether it is palatable or not. Of course, we present it in a manner that the public can understand. But even after understanding, they may not be happy with it. That's okay. That's okay. We are not here to satisfy them. We have to really internalize this. This is the mood. If we don't internalize this, we are actually deviating from the actual Bhagavat Parampara, Dharma Projita Kaitava. We are deviating from that because it will sow the seeds of muddling Dharma with Adharma. It will sow the seeds. So those who make a show of being preachers do not disturb mankind, but rather maintain everyone's present mentality while busily protecting their own existence. I should take the risk of not only being attacked, but also being judged. I should also take the risk of being judged because I am judging. I am making, opinions, expressing opinions, not my opinions, but Krishna's opinions without filter. If I express those opinions, I will also be subject to such opinions. And it's good for me that I am under scrutiny so that I myself won't deviate then. Right? So speaking truth without compromise is good for the speaker and for the listener. It will guard us, the speaker, it will guard the speaker against adopting such muddling, compromising positions or thoughts, and it will help others to identify the compromised position, and therefore they can remain uncompromised. So therefore there is no propagation of the truth. So in this way, when we don't disturb them, by the show bottle preachers, they don't disturb and they protect their own existence. In that way, there is no propagation of the truth, since one's popularity is not served by speaking or hearing the truth. If I want to be popular, I can't say things that people might dislike. But that's not what we're here for. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Na janam. If janam comes without us compromising, we will accept it and we'll guide them. If they don't, because we do not compromise, then so be it. We don't want people. We want the truth. If even one person understands, that's enough. Our mission is successful. Even if nobody understands, that's still enough, because we will not at least compromise. And there's this verse. Let me show this. This changing between the Veda ways and this takes a little bit of time. So, okay. 11:18:30 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vedavadara nasyan na pashandi na haitukaha shushkavada vivadena kanchit paksham samashrayet. A devotee should never engage in the fruitive rituals mentioned in the Karmakanda section of the Vedas. Okay? Nor should he become atheistic, acting or speaking in opposition to Vedic injunctions. Similarly, he should never speak like a mere logician or skeptic or take any sides whatsoever in useless arguments. But we should take Krishna's side in useful arguments. What is a useful argument and what is a useless argument? A useful argument is that which helps separate the Sat from the Asat. Useless arguments are arguments where both sides are Asat. So favoring one over the other is no point. There's no point to it. So that's a useless argument. So when it is used to separate the Sat from the Asat, that's a useful argument. Okay. Shushkavada vivadena. So Shushkavada means dry argumentation of useless topics. You see, arguments of useless topics. That's the thing. Shushka means dry. So that is explained there. So I'll go back to that. All right. Pure items. So that was 5. That's from the Gaudiya magazine. Then this is next quotation. Pure items are rare and not easily attainable, and so are not much appreciated. Just like pure gold, real gold, in a gold shop, goldsmith shop, there will be fewer people than in the shop of an imitation gold shop. So, because more people can afford the imitation. Not many people can afford the real gold. So, only quality people who actually are willing to sacrifice, are willing to do what it takes to become a servant of Krishna, they will come here. So, it will be a minority. So, we should accept that. Now, if even 10% or 1% of the population becomes devotees, say now 8 billion, I think more than 8 billion now, let's take 8 billion for a round figure, is the population of the world now. 1% of it, how much is that? 80 million. 80 million devotees who are first class in their character. If we have that, what can we not achieve? So, we should aim at quality minority than quality-less majority. If majority comes by quality, that's a bonus. Because if we have even 1% of population of the world as devotees, the whole world will be changed. The face of the world will completely change. That's what we should aim for. So pure items are rare and not easily attainable, and so are not much appreciated. Similarly, there is no respect for those who do not misguide people. Remember, no respect for those who do not misguide people. Who misguide people? The others. The real Vaishnavas do not misguide people, but they will have no respect. And we should tolerate that. Similarly, there is no respect for those who do not misguide people but are busy trying through Sankirtan and Harikatha to turn them toward the Lord. And people will not respect that. People will respect if I speak in a compromising way. If I satisfy everyone, they're yeah, it's okay. Don't bring out the no. We should not. Of course, we should say it politely, but we should say the truth. Say the truth nonetheless. We should respect that person, but we should not respect deviant philosophies. When we're talking to somebody, we should give all respect to that person. And that you will see that in the character of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. He gave respect to anybody he was dealing with. But if there is a deviation in the philosophy, he will cut that philosophy without compromise. But he will still deal with them with respect. At present, it is fashionable to be cheated by those who, in the name of dharma, misguide people. It is fashionable to be cheated. Real devotees do not speak to satisfy their audiences. They do not cheat people. Rather, pure devotees reveal the defects of cheaters. Pure devotees reveal the defects of cheaters. That's an important service. Reveal the defects of cheaters who love to compromise. Only fortunate persons learn to be cautious after hearing the words of saints. Although the words of genuine devotees may appear to contradict our present taste and experience, nonetheless, they are most auspicious for us. And let's see where that is from. 6. AV and SPU. Srila Prabhupada Upadeshamrita is the SPU. It's a compilation of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's teachings. And AV, Amritavani, 212 page. But when I went to this page, it was not there. Maybe some shift in the page numbers. So whatever. So the sources are very nicely mentioned as well. So everything is referenced. So you see, that's a very important quote. Okay, so reading on. Hence, a major focus of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's preaching was to expose cheating in all forms, especially in the spheres of philosophy and religious practice. He denounced as hypocritical all varieties of religion practiced without the intention of surrendering to Krishna, such as those meant to improve moral, social, or intellectual life, or promote an ironic ambience conducive to genteel sense gratification in this world. Okay, let's go to all the words that are not understood. So, first of all, he denounced hypocritical varieties of religion which are practiced without the intention of surrendering to Krishna, such as those meant to improve moral, social, let's add into that financial or intellectual life, to improve these things. That's not real religion. Or promote an ironic ambience. What is ironic? Like serene, aiming or aimed at peace. Yeah. Ironical. Yeah. A peaceful ambience conducive to genteel sense gratification in this world. Genteel. Characterized by exaggerated or affected politeness, refinement, or respectability. You know, exaggerated politeness without really feeling anything, honestly, from inside. And not just without feeling, but also based on untruth. Those aimed at enjoying enhanced sensual delights in a future birth, those want to do karma kandiya so that they can go to a better heavenly birth, all that has to be denounced. And even those aspiring for spiritual liberation but devoid of devotion to Krishna, that also has to be denounced, actively denounced. Denounce means not just not mention it, no, actively mention it and say it is wrong. That is actual preaching. He presented religion not as a palliative for the pangs of material existence, but as the required alternative to it. Palliative means symptomatic relief, right? Let's see. Relieving symptoms without dealing with the cause of the condition. Medicine or form of medical care, relieving only symptoms without dealing with the cause of the condition. So that is the thing. It's a symptomatic relief. He presented religion not as a palliative, not just to relieve the symptoms of material life, no, but as the required alternative to it. It is an alternative. It's not just to, we are facing a lot of trouble so that we can have religion, so that we can have peace. No. Peace is just a byproduct. That is not the aim of the whole thing. We have to actively adopt a whole new lifestyle of Krishna consciousness. He was not interested in becoming famous or respected. Important. That is very important. He was not interested in becoming famous or respected. And in the third verse of Shikshashtaka, when it is said, Pranadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina, not wanting respect from others. It is this also. Not just, oh, I should be humble and I should not want respect of others. No. It means also that I should stay with the truth, even if the popular opinion is against it. And I may get respect if I compromise, but I should not choose it. Then only a kirtaniya sadahari. Otherwise, I have to block my sada, what is it? Satatam kirtayanto mam. Sada Hari Kirtan, I have to stop it. I have to interrupt it in order to get respect, right? Because in order to get the respect of the world, I have to kind of not mention what is wrong and only mention what is right. People will not understand it. They will not see it as different from the wrong. Maybe we see it, but if we don't mention explicitly what is wrong and distinguish it from the right, what is right and distinguish it from the wrong, it's not helping them see clearly. And it is not actual pure service to Krishna. So Kirtaniya Sadahari means Amanina. We have to be ready for that. Always. He was not interested in becoming famous or respected, in merely creating a good impression, or in becoming a religious icon. He was not interested. He preached to establish Gaudiya Siddhanta, to uphold the dignity of the authentic Gaudiya Sampradaya, and to convince others of the overwhelming necessity of accepting Krishna Bhakti. Overwhelming necessity. Because if people don't take to Krishna Bhakti and give up everything else, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, if they don't do that, even that line by Krishna, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, Sarvadharman Parityajya, that Sarvadharman Parityajya means give up all religious processes, which is Dharma Projita Kaitavatra. That means actively we have to give up the Sarvadharman Parityajya. Actively. We have to pronounce them, identify them, and abandon them. Not just that, help others identify and abandon them as well by pronouncing it clearly. All that is this Sarvadharma. For example, I'll tell you, there is the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, okay, the pure Sampradaya. And then there are so many Apasampradayas, deviations from the Sampradaya. Now we can just, Bhaktivinoda Thakur took the pain and the effort to give names to each of these Apasampradayas, identify them, and characteristics of each of these Apasampradayas. He mentioned them. Why? Why should he do such a strained evaluation of Apasampradayas, which are not Sampradayas, which is Adharma, not Dharma? Why? Why he should analyze Adharma? It's all Adharma, right? Just follow what is the correct thing and don't follow the other thing. No. Identify the deviations by name, classify them, analyze them, and analyze the pure devotion and show the difference actively. Unless it is done that way, it cannot be distinguished from the real religious process. So we should really welcome this attitude of separation of what is right and what is wrong. We should become ultra comfortable with doing that. Ultra comfortable. Then, Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura refused to be molded by popular demand into the stereotype sadhu of flowery beatitude, passing a halcyon existence and doling out benedictions in exchange for contributions. Let's take out the dictionary. Stereotype sadhu means the archetypal sadhu, how sadhu is usually known by the people. What is that? What does a sadhu do? Smile, shant, not getting angry or not saying anything that is unpleasant. Beatitude means blessing. Like, what is that? Let's see, what is beatitude? Supreme blessedness. The expression of beatitude, the religious sometimes adopt. The blessings listed by Jesus in the Sermon of the Mount. Okay, on the Mount. Okay. So basically, blessed, looking blessed and looking with a smile and peaceful and, saying all the nice words. Oh, yes, Ashirvad, all the nice things that people want to hear. Passing a halcyon existence. What is that? Let's see. Halcyon. Sorry, halcyon. Halcyon existence, denoting a period of time in the past that was idyllically happy and peaceful. A peaceful existence. Staying in an ashram, looking all sadhu-like, not saying anything that is too controversial, and doling out benedictions, giving out benedictions like cheap, what is that? Pav Bhaji, like that. Chaat Chaat bhandar, you will have pav bhaji, you will have pani puri, like the pani puri, giving out pani puri, like that, put a plate, 5 pani puris and give out, like that, doling out benedictions in exchange for contributions. Uh, let's see, doling. Yeah. Doling out. Yeah. Dole something out. Okay, let's dole something out. To give something, especially food, money, etc., in small amounts to a number of people. Yeah. Doling out benedictions like pani puri, chaat bhandar, roadside chaat bhandar. It's not that's the sadhu which usually people know as sadhu means like that. So when people come and respect such sadhus, they actually have real respect. They want something. They want their. If you really ask them to surrender, they will not. They think themselves are highly. And sadhus are there. Yeah, I'll get some blessings, then I'll go do my thing in life, which is the real mission. It was practical mission in life. These people are there. If I get blessing, it's okay. That kind of. They just have some condescending courtesy. They are courteous, but condescending. Actually, I am higher, but it's okay. That's why when they give also donation, something, some small amount they will give. Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is not interested in any of that. Refused to be molded by popular demand into the stereotype sadhu of flowery beatitude, passing a halcyon existence and doling out benedictions in exchange for contributions. Nearly all people who approach sadhus seek peace, reassurance, and relief from the bruises of life, expecting blessings for solving their material problems and to facilitate unobstructed sense indulgence. They want blessings for solving their material problems and to facilitate unobstructed sense indulgence. That's what they really want. Such individuals do not want or expect a sadhu to force his way into their phantasmagoria and reveal their life to be in need of wholesale reform. They come to the sadhu for some, patchwork remedy so that their life becomes again happy. Oh, I'm going through some Rahu Dasha, Shani Mahadasha, Shadesati, and all these things. I want some benediction, sadhu benediction, so that I can. So he may come to the sadhu for that. But a real sadhu will force his way into their phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria means their illusion, their imagination, their whole idea that they have built up around life, about life, and reveal their life to be in need of wholesale reform. Complete reformation need to be done to your life. You're in shambles. A sadhu has to convince him of that. But Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was a different grade of sadhu. Like a lotus which lives in water but remains above it, he moved in human society but was unaffected by it. Even numerous sadhus of his day, most of whom sequestered themselves from the world and its turbulence, could not understand his approach to spiritual life. Sequestered, let's see, I think basically, what is that? Isolated, yeah. Isolated and hidden away. Sequestered. Sequestered, yeah. Sequestered. Most of whom sequestered themselves from the world and its turbulence, could not understand his approach to spiritual life. Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī considered that his responsibility as a sadhu was to slash others' misconstructions. Although persons who lead serene lives of study and prayer but do not preach may be regarded as saintly, they cannot be compared to devotees who go out to confront all opposing elements and fight for Krishna. Even among preachers, many prefer to adopt a soft line, averting conflict by not disturbing others' false egos. Sadhus were expected to be mild and non-judgmental, avoiding causing annoyance to others and promoting concord by recognizing all opinions as equally tenable. You understand? Adopting a soft line. See, sadhu has to slash others' misconstructions. So Prahlad Maharaj also said about this that they are certainly saintly those who go and adopt Mauna Vrata. They adopt vows of silence and go to the Himalayas and do their meditations. Yes, they are saintly, but they cannot be compared to devotees who go out and to confront all opposing elements and fight for Krishna. That is itself higher. But even among those preachers, many prefer to adopt a soft line, averting conflict by not disturbing others' false egos. Sadhus were expected to be mild and non-judgmental, avoiding causing annoyance to others, and promoting concord. Means, not discord. Like concord means a congenial atmosphere. Look up concord. Let's say concord. Agreement or harmony between people or groups. So they are expected to promote concord by recognizing all opinions as equally tenable, equally valid. But Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura deemed such liberalism another form of deception, kaitava dharma. A self-serving acceptance born of fear of retribution. What is that again? A self-serving acceptance born of fear of retribution, because people will there will be backlash when you preach the truth and spell out the untruth. Self-serving acceptance, such liberalism, oh, everything is okay, yatama tatapat, all that is self-serving acceptance born of fear of retribution. I want to protect myself, I don't want backlash, so I will just compromise. That's what it means. In other words, refraining from pointing out others' misdoings lest oneself become subject to assessment. If we refrain from pointing out others' misdoings, then others also will not find our misdoings. They will not assess us if we don't assess them. So, should we allow others to assess us? Absolutely. Absolutely, we should. They should assess us, they should have opinions, they should find out faults in us, which is only good for us. If there are actually faults, it's good for us if they're found out. Good for us. We are not doing this to only criticize others and then say that I am always perfect. If there is any flaw in me, let that also be assessed by others. So if I actively assess the faults of others, then I will be also subject to, I have to be open to subject to assessment. So, you see, refraining from pointing out others' misdoings lest oneself become subject to assessment. He parodied the hypocrisy inherent in such mutual social acquiescence by saying, "Main bhi chup, tum bhi chup. I'll be quiet, you will be quiet." It reminds me of, let's see where he said that. There is a footnote. Oh, it's Hindi. That's all it said. Hindi. Okay. It reminds me of a caption that my father has on his car. Of course, now he's no more, but the car is still there, and that in India. And at the back, it is written, "Tum bhi chalo, hum bhi chale." Because in India, everybody will block the traffic, and like everybody wants to go, everybody wants to stop. Like traffic is not orderly in India. So everybody wants to. So he wrote a thing. I mean, he had a sticker at his back of the car. "Tum bhi chalo, hum bhi chale." Here he's saying, "Main bhi chup, tum bhi chup." But no, hum hi chale, tum na chale. If you want to go, you follow us. So that was Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's mood. Of course, we're not talking about traffic in this, but in the religious traffic, it has to be the Vaishnava way, Krishna's way. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Ekam. This devotional path has to be followed, nothing else. That has to be the mission of the pure preacher of the truth. Tum bhi chup, main bhi chup means nobody will benefit, neither me nor anybody. And because others will assess me, I will be forced to have an exemplary character. Right? Which is only good for me. Which is only good for me. We read in the previous seminar on fundraising by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's teachings on fundraising. There also he said, when you preach uncompromisingly, then because people will not give you money Okay, this is what he said. If we take loans for the temple, for our projects, and then you will thus have to work constantly in Hariseva, meet people and preach to them, collect contributions from them, and come give it back to the temple. But people will not give you contributions if they see that you are not a sadhu. If your character is not exemplary, they will not want to give you. So that will force you, he was telling his disciples all this, I will force you to have an exemplary character. And then when people challenge or when they have misconceptions, you have to correct them. And so you have to be good in your own philosophy, in your own sadhana, in your own understandings. And when you preach and correct them, you yourself will not follow the, you yourself will not commit those same mistakes in your thought process and actions. So in this way, it's all auspicious in every way. See how he's seen. So that uncompromised preaching is good for us, the preacher and the listener, everybody. It's all auspicious. Krishna, without compromise, Krishna's philosophy, Krishna has to be accepted. Everything about Krishna has to be accepted. Oh, no. I only want to read about Krishna's pastimes with, in Vrindavan, where he was a naughty child to his mother and father, stealing butter and all the, his playing with the cowherd boys in the forest of Vrindavan, and the loving pastimes between him and the gopis. I want to read those things. No. Krishna also killed the demons. We have to study the killing of the demons as much as the loving pastimes. His anger and his love all are same. All are auspicious. So not that one side of Krishna is auspicious, another side of Krishna is not auspicious. Similarly with the philosophy. Philosophy, that's why Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said, without lacerating, without tearing apart all kudarshana, wrong philosophies, by sudarshana, the correct philosophy, we cannot have Bhagavad darshan. So, tum bhi chup, main bhi chup cannot work. So, Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was not for sectarian coexistence, conciliation, and syncretism. Syncretism. Let's see what is syncretism. The amalgamation or attempted amalgamation of different religions, cultures, or schools of thought. The merging of different inflectional varieties of a word during the development of a language. Okay. Syncretism. So he was not for that. Does he mean that he's advocating for violence and disharmony? No. Actually, churn out the reality in the religious preachings, religious teachings of all religions, of all the schools of thought, and establish what the right religion is. What is the criterion for the right religion? What is actually right religious process? And impart that to the public. That's his mission. His sole means for bridging the abyss between others and himself was to exhort them to come to his side. His sole means of bridging the abyss. So, they are on the other side, I'm on this side of the river, say. Oh, let's have a bridge and let's meet midway somewhere. Okay, I'm preaching this way and your thought process that way. Let's meet somewhere midway. No. The only means for bridging is to exhort them. That means urge them to come to his side. No. We are not going to meet midway. I'm not going to come to your side. You have to come to my side. And that's what Prabhupada also said. We should preach in such a way that people will accept us, not that we accept what people want. We pander to them. No. They should leave their conceptions and come to our side. That's what real preaching is. Otherwise, it's not preaching. He spoke against mushy tolerance of nonsensical ideas in the name of ecumenism. Ecumenism means, again, the coexistence of... it's actually a Christian thing. Wait. Yeah. The principle or aim of promoting unity among the world's Christian churches. So, promoting unity. Ecumenism means promoting unity. Oh, everybody, let's be all together, unite. And no. If you're doing something wrong, then I have to tell you are doing wrong. You don't like it, then what can I do? So that's what we should do. So we should, so it's in the name of ecumenism, this mushy tolerance, this is actually cowardice. It's not tolerance, it's cowardice, because I cannot be bold enough to state what the truth is, and therefore I hide behind tolerance and humility and let so-called ecumenism and syncretism take over, which actually is never unity. It's not unity at all. It's a mosaic, and each of them are their own individual silos. He spoke against mushy tolerance and of nonsensical ideas in the name of ecumenism, which he anyway took as a nebulous and impossible dream. Yeah, it is impossible. Unless people were prepared to forswear miscellaneous rubrics of cheating religion and simply surrender unto Krishna. Unless they give up. That's why when we say, why worship only Krishna? We released a book called Why Worship Only Krishna. That sounds very, dogmatic and sectarian. Wow, this is like only Krishna? What is that? But actually, that's the only platform of unity. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani, Karma Pyekam Tasya Devasya Seva. There's nothing else. Ekam, everything Ekam. We have to have one thing that will have to rule the world. Krishna consciousness. Forswear miscellaneous rubrics. That means they give up, unless they were prepared to give up everything else of cheating religion. Rubrics means yardsticks or measurement. Unless we give up all the methods and measurements of cheating religion and simply surrender to Krishna, there is no possibility of unity. He expostulated against that style of utopian consanity so cherished by worldly idealists who aimed at attuning all streams of human thought within an inclusive, tolerant, pluralistic, open-minded ethos in defiance of Krishna, as capsulized in Ramakrishna's catchy jingle, Jato Mat Tato Path. Very beautifully worded. Expostulated. Express strong disapproval of. Disagreement. So he disagreed against that style of utopian consanity. That means so-called unity, skillful and harmonious arrangement of fitting together of the different parts of something. Same syncretism and the mosaic of society, and the ecumenism, consanity, pretty much the same thing. Utopian consanity, it's not possible, first of all, it's utopia. So cherished by the worldly ideals who aimed at attuning all streams of human thought within an inclusive, tolerant, pluralistic, everybody can coexist, we should coexist, but with the common aim. Not that one is against, one is for, not like that. But to unite on the platform of Krishna consciousness. Open-minded ethos. No, we cannot be open-minded. Why we should be open-minded? Why should we allow anything else other than Krishna? What did Ambarish Maharaj do? Shrutam Chakara Chuta Satkathodaye. He used his ear only to hear Krishna's topics. Others are kicked out. Why we should be open? Why should our mind be open to any other opinion other than Krishna consciousness? Why? In the matter of execution, we will be open. Like printing press was an invention that Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura adopted, Bhaktivinoda Thakur adopted. So in the matter of using everything in Krishna service, that is Yukta Vairagya. But in the matter of philosophy, the principle, there's no open-mindedness. We cannot have open-mindedness. If we are open-minded, we are allowing Maya, because we have Krishna. And if we are being still open-minded, okay, I will accept other opinions as well. Then you are inviting Maya. We cannot be. We have to preach to them. They should be open-minded. Until you arrive at the truth, you should be open-minded. Because if you close your mind to the truth, then that's not good. But once you come to the truth, then you have to close your mind and not. You should engage with the untruth, but always clearly demarcate the truth and the untruth. Truth and the untruth. Never allow it to come into the region of the truth. Then it will muddle everything. And then eventually lead to perversion. The truth will be taken as untruth, untruth will be taken as truth. Completely replaced. So we cannot allow that degeneration of religion. That's why this open-minded ethos in defiance of Krishna has capsulized. That's why Arjuna said, Sarvameta dhritam manya yanmam vadasi. I accept as truth all that you have said. Not that I accept as truth what you have said, I am also open-minded. No, no, no. What you have said, everything else is untruth. As capsulized in Ramakrishna's catchy jingle, Jatamat Tathapat. Tatapat. Jingle means a line, a catchy phrase. All are approaching the absolute in diverse ways. So everybody is reaching the same goal. No. Sri Sarasvatī Ṭhākura countered this by stating that those who worship on assorted religious paths cannot possibly serve Bhagavan. He taught that real harmonizing is achievable only by aligning with Krishna, whereby everyone's actual self-interest would automatically be fulfilled. Yatha taror mula nishechanena tripyanti tatskandha bhujopashakha. By watering the root, whole tree. So we have to follow the Krishna's path. Only that will harmonize everything. Where everyone's actual self-interest would automatically be fulfilled, and that any other attempts for consanguinity, however seemingly noble, would merely engender further envy, rivalry, and competition, and thus were actually disjunctive and ungodly. Okay, let's unpack each and every word here. Consanguinity. Constantinity. Okay. Consanguinity. Surface analysis. By surface analysis, not deep analysis. Consanguinity. Very nice word. We should go deep. Other attempts for consanguinity, however seemingly noble, would merely engender, which means foster, cause or give rise to, yes, or foster. Thesaurus. Generate, arouse, rouse, provoke, yeah. Lead to, result in, yeah. Foment, foster, yeah. So which would merely foster or engender further envy, rivalry, and competition, and thus were actually disjunctive and ungodly. Think about it. Suppose we allow everyone to exist. There will be competition because everyone is eyeing the same market, and there will be competition. I want to be better than them. I guess they can exist, but I want to be better than them. Or in this way there will be disjunction and ungodly. It's not godly. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura dubbed as pseudo-latitudinarianism the impersonalistic attempt to obfuscate or make light of meaningful differences, such as those between genuine and watered-down dharma, and considered it to be based on what he termed chit jada samanvayavad, trying to conflate material with spiritual, which he compared with the endeavor to inosculate gold and stone. So let's see what is latitudinarianism. Allowing latitude in religion, showing no preference among varying creeds and forms of worship. Latitudinarian attitude means showing no preference. Okay, everything is okay. I can go here, I can go there. Everything is okay. So like that. This pseudo-latitudinarianism, he dubbed this. He called it pseudo-latitudinarianism. What did he call it? What did he call pseudo-latitudinarianism? The impersonalistic attempt to obfuscate or hide or cover. Obfuscate. Make obscure, yeah, unclear, unintelligible. The impersonalistic attempt to obfuscate or make light of meaningful differences, such as those between genuine and watered-down dharma, and considered it to be based on what he termed chit jada samanvayavad, trying to conflate material with spiritual. Material, even up to the emotional level, is not spiritual yet. It's not. The psychological, intellectual, all that is not spiritual yet. So we cannot. Rajeshwari Mother is saying, I'm finding it hard to follow. Too many things are bouncing. What? What is bouncing? So anyway, he's saying that Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is dubbed as pseudo-latitudinarianism. So basically, he criticized the so-called making everything unite. No, we have to clearly spell out what is the truth and what is the untruth. We cannot make it all like one homogeneous mixture or heterogeneous mixture. Chit Jad Samanmayavad, which he compared with the endeavor to inosculate gold and stone, means to mix gold and stone. We cannot do that. So, Chit Jada. So that's the other thing. Conflate. That is the 1831 verse in Bhagavad Gita, which is mixing both dharmam and adharmam. Ayathavat, not as it is. Whereas in 216 we saw Ubhayorapi Drishtvantas Tvanayos Tattvadarshibhi. We have to clearly demarcate what is spiritual and what is material. Now another quote. You see the indent in the text, so it's a quote. How can Sat and Asat, devotee and non-devotee, pious and sinful, literate and illiterate, demigod and supreme lord, chaste and unchaste, dharma and adharma, light and darkness, constitutional and unconditional, bhakti and abhakti be homologous? What is homologous? Having the same meaning, having the same relation, relative position or structure, similar, comparable, equivalent, like analogous. So you see, how can they be homologous? How can all be same? If Vaishnava is asatsanga tyaga, how can asat and sat be accepted as one? So when we say asatsanga tyaga, not just that we should give up the association of non-devotees. You know what it actually means? Because I can be far away from non-devotees, but today's technology allows me to be with non-devotees on my phone screen. Not just that, even. We should, asatsanga tyaga means we should identify what is asat and actively give it up. And introspection should be there. Introspection means, am I conflating spiritual with material? Am I compromising anywhere? So we cannot conflate the two. So we should be very, very sharp in discerning that. Okay, so reading on, everything seems all right to those unmindful. Everything seems all right to those unmindful of the tidings of the internal reality. Ordinary people who are unmindful of the real reality, internal reality, who cannot enter into its highly subtle understanding. An ignorant boy may claim that his illegible, this is a very good example. An ignorant boy may claim that his illegible script has meaning because that of an intelligent person has meaning. And one who does not regard scrawl and meaningful writing as equal will be accused of sectarianism or partiality by the foolish. Let me explain what is that. I think it went over the head. So, if an ignorant boy, he just scribbles on a piece of paper or a book, and sometimes you see doctors writing in similar scribbles. Doctors always have bad handwriting. That's like a stereotype. So when an intelligent person who's very educated and he writes in some bad handwriting, but his words have meaning. Now if the ignorant child he just scribbles something and he says mine also has meaning. Now if somebody says, hey, you are what, you're ignorant child, whatever he's saying has meaning, but whatever you say have no meaning. Then he may say, that ignorant child will say, oh, You accept his scribble, but my scribble is here. It is used scrawl. Scrawl is same as scribbling. So the meaningful writing, you are saying his is meaningful, mine is not. Both are scribbling. You are being partial. You are being, what is that? Um, he'll be accused of sectarianism. Oh, you are only partial, being partial to him. So that is what is meaning. So, in other words, those which look like religion, and there's, if we say that only Krishna Bhakti is religion, other forms, even demigod worship, it look like all, they are also doing arati, we are also doing arati, they are also singing, we are also singing, they are also reading some scriptures, we are also reading scriptures. It's all same. Just forms are different. But like one, many so-called gurus, they say it doesn't matter which form you worship, it is the bhakti that matters. People say, oh, vareva, well done, well said, well said. No. It does matter. That is, what is that? Yanti deva vrata devan, but madbhakta yanti mamapi. So Krishna said, the demigod worshippers go to their planets, and my devotees will come to my planet, eternal planet. So the destination is different, the path is different, everything is different. Only the Krishna Bhakti is bona fide, everything else is not bona fide. Krishna himself talks against demigod worship. So just because it looks similar, like the scribble of the ignorant child and that of the doctor, it does not mean that both are same. No, one is meaningful, one is not. So similarly, the practices, everything may look the same, but no, Krishna Bhakti is always different. And we should be very clear about it. We cannot conflate the two, Asat and Sat. If we appeal to popularists who have no comprehension of Harikatha or Satya Siddhanta, they will say that to promote genuine Siddhanta is sectarian and to refute Asat Siddhanta is blasphemy. You see, if we appeal to popularists, if you want to become popular in this world, the worldly people, they don't know about Harikatha, what is the correct Siddhanta. So they will say that to promote genuine Siddhanta is sectarian. When we say that Krishna, why worship only Krishna? Oh, this is sectarian. And to refute Asat Siddhanta is blasphemy. When we refute the demigod worship is wrong, when we say, oh, that is blasphemy. So when we say what is correct, they say that is sectarian. When we say this is wrong, they say this is blasphemy. They will never see properly. They always want this pseudo latitudinarianism, the so-called ecumenism of everybody just, everything is okay. No. We don't care what people think. We have to present the truth. They think when we know nothing, better to cook the accounts by calling everything equal. In this way, everyone will stay satisfied and there will be no mutual bad feelings. But truth and falsehood, devotion and non-devotion can never be one. Persons devoid of devotional sentiment, who feel no necessity to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who do not want actual benefit, who consider sensual enjoyment and fame desirable, will adjudge contaminated and pure as one. They think contaminated and pure as one. Because they feel no necessity to serve the Supreme Personality. They just want some so-called peace, surface level peace in society. Although there's a huge undercurrent of strife, but just a superficial peace is what they are looking for. Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura never characterized himself as an apologist of a particular religious faith, not even Hinduism. For although in sociological terms, Vaishnava Dharma could be defined as part of the Hindu gestalt, or again the mosaic, the pluralistic nature of Hinduism, an organized whole that is perceived as more than the sum of its parts. How is it pronounced? Gestalt. Okay. Hindu gestalt. The mosaic, the everything included. Okay. never characterized himself as an apologist of a particular religious faith or a defender. Apologist means defender. He is not a defender of Hinduism. For although in sociological terms, Vaishnava Dharma could be defined as part of the Hindu um, umbrella, in its pristine essence, it transcended all exoteric attempts at definition. Exoteric means understood by the common people, the majority of people. Esoteric is the opposite, understood only by a few, meant to understand by a small group of people. Exoteric is the opposite. All the materialistic attempts at definition. It transcended. So Vaishnavism is not just part of Hinduism or it's all same. No, transcends all material attempts of religion. He stood above and apart from all terrestrial religions, which were but partial reflections of the eternal truth that he alone was delineating. He said, we do not subscribe to the way in which Hindus, Mohammedans, Christians, etc. have been endeavoring to set forth their respective contentious views. Neither has the obsolete quarrel between the Shaktas and the Vaishnavas any bearing on the subject matter of our preaching. Our words will never die as long as time endures. Nay, even after time itself has ceased to function. See what he's saying? Our words will never die as long as time endures. Nay, even after time itself has ceased to function, our words will still endure. The fact is that once a person becomes really conversant with the message of Sri Chaitanya Dev about the function of spiritual love, all little narrownesses are eliminated once and for all. Such a beautiful way to word it. He said, you see, actually, the Vedas are apaurushaya. So the Vedic truths, which are the words that are spoken by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, Vedas are essentially Vaishnava scriptures, because Krishna said, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyah vedantakrit vedavideva chaham. The Vedas were written by Krishna and they are meant to understand Krishna. So Vedas are actually Vaishnava scriptures. It's not that Vaishnavism is a part of Vedic Hindu culture, Hindu religion. No. The entire Vedas are only Vaishnava scriptures. They are meant to get people to become Vaishnavas. Ultimate perfection of the Vedic understanding, Vedanta, Bhakti Vedanta. What is this? He said, our words will always endure. That means they will never be destroyed. So Vedic words have existed before the creation. Time starts, of course, eternal time is there, but in a material sense, the time starts from the moment the universe is created, and then after the universe is finished, the time in the material world is not, there's no significance of time. The eternal time is still there, but the time in the material world, the forcing function of the time is no more there. So even after time ceases to exist, these words will not cease to exist. They will endure. That's why the Vedas are eternal. In the Tattva Sandarbha, there is a Jiva Goswami explains this very nicely, that the Vedas are always eternal. So even when it is said that, say, Garga Samhita, for example, or Skanda Puran, where it is spoken by Skanda, for example. Skanda is the main person. Skanda is a demigod who is a temporary person in this material world. Why is the eternal religion named after, one of the scriptures of eternal religion are named after a temporary personality, or Gargamuni or Skanda Puran or something like that. Shiva is eternal. But either way, when there are certain temporary names like that, they're actually not temporary. When the same eternal truth is spoken by a person in this world, then it may be named after him, but it is not his philosophy. Similarly, additionally, Skanda itself, the demigod, the prototype of each of the demigods are there in the Vaikuntha Loka. Just like Ganesh, what is the prototype in the spiritual world? Vishwaksena. Vishwaksena and Gajanana. They are there in the spiritual world. Vishwaksena is the Vishnu form, of whom this Ganesh is only a replica. So every demigod that exists here, just like every species, every even human body is fashioned after Krishna's body, animal bodies are also fashioned after Krishna's body. Demigod bodies are also fashioned after Krishna's body. Like a pig, for example, there is Varaha avatar. So the Lord has the original Varaha form, and the pig of this world is a replica of his form. Krishna says, Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya Aham Bija Pradaha Pita, I am the father of all species of life. That means all species, like a pig's father is a pig, right? A human's father is a human. So similarly, if he is the father of everyone, that means all forms that exist, he is the father of all those forms. Fish, Matsya, he is the original fish. So likewise, everything that exists, he is the original form. So therefore, even the demigods themselves, the Skanda or Ganesh or anybody, all of them have their prototypes in the Lord. So in that way, Skanda is actually an eternal. When you say Skanda Purana, it's actually an eternal scripture. But when in this material world, when there is a demigod Skanda who takes on the same eternal name, but is a temporary person here, or Indra, the post Indra is always there. Which person comes and occupies the post is a different thing. So likewise, in different ways, it is mentioned that the Vedas are always eternal. And sometimes the eternal science, when it is repeated by a certain person in this material world, it may be named after that person because he spoke it, but actually it's the eternal truth. So the words, that's why he's saying, our words will never die as long as time endures. Nay, even after time itself has ceased to function. The fact is that, so reading on, the fact is that once a person becomes really conversant with the message of Chaitanya Dev about the function of spiritual love, all little narrownesses are eliminated once and for all. So we are not contending our Vaishnava Dharma. What he's saying here is we are not contending with the temporary currents of thought of this world that are mainstay now, which may not be mainstay 200, 300 years down the line. The world situation may be completely different from what it is now. And what is acceptable today may not be acceptable 50 years down the line, 100 years down the line. Completely it may change. So, we no need to adjust ourselves to these temporary currents of thought. Our current of thought is eternal. That's what he's saying. So we don't need to fluctuate in order to attune ourselves to the temporary fluctuations of thought, currents of thought of this world. So we will stick to the eternal thought process, eternal words. And we should give up this narrow-mindedness of trying to, acquiesce or try to be acceptable to people of the current thought of the world. We don't need that exercise. We should know where we're coming from. We should know the eternal point of view that we are seeing it from. That's what he's saying. When asked if Vaishnava Dharma could be acceptable to all, Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura replied, there is no Dharma other than Vaishnava Dharma. It is the eternal Dharma of all jivas. Whatever else is propagated in the world as Dharma is either a step toward or a perversion of Vaishnava Dharma. Very important. Everything else, whatever else is propagated in this world as Dharma, is either a step toward the real Vaishnava Dharma or it is a perversion of Vaishnava Dharma. There's nothing else. It's all Vaishnava Dharma otherwise. That is the meaning of that verse which Krishna says in 4:11. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. Everybody is following, as we surrender so he rewards. But then the second two lines are, everybody is following my path in all respects. What does that mean? This is what it means. How is everybody? Oh, everybody is following his path. Oh, that means the Shaktas, the Shaivas, the Christians, the Muslims, the Buddhists, and everybody is following the same path. Atheists, everybody following the same path. No. This is what it means. Everybody is following the Vaishnava Dharma, either a step towards it or a perversion of it if they are following any type of Dharma at all. Or if they are against Dharma totally, then also they are in the path of Krishna only because they will be rectified by the negative agency which is Maya. and eventually they will be corrected and brought back to the correct path. So, Vaishnava Dharma is real Dharma. Every other Dharma, whatever else is propagated in the world as Dharma, is a step toward or perversion of Vaishnava Dharma. There is no use in being a Christian, Muslim, Hindu, animal, bird, tree, stone, demigod, human, or demon. Let all become Vaishnavas and be situated in their eternal constitutional position. This is what Sri Mahaprabhu effected when he went to South India, where he loudly chanted the Lord's glories while traveling. His chanting created many Vaishnavas. By his mercy, he perambulated Jharkhand forest. By his mercy, as he perambulated or walked in the Jharkhand forest, even the birds, animals, trees, and creepers became Vaishnavas. Worshippers of Shiva and Durga, atheists, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, impersonalists, materialists, mental speculators, yogis, ascetics, learned, foolish, sick, healthy, all became Vaishnavas. Mahaprabhu's only weapon was the chanting of Krishna's holy names. Those who became Vaishnavas in turn made others Vaishnavas by acting as spiritual masters under Mahaprabhu's order. So this is how he explained. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī appreciated daring disciples. What did he appreciate? Daring disciples who took risks in preaching and did not hedge or compromise. Hedge. A fence or boundary formed by closely growing bushes or shrubs. Okay, that's one thing. Let's see if there is more meaning of hedge. A way of protecting oneself against financial loss or other adverse circumstances. Avoid over-precise commitment. Oh. Yeah, so did not compromise, limit or qualify something by conditions or exceptions. So did not compromise, did not accept everything. Who took risks, daring disciples who took risks in preaching and did not hedge or compromise. He referred to conciliators, those who conciliate, those who try to say that everything is okay. He referred to conciliators as good for nothings, or in Bengali, Shader Gobar, bull's dung, a disparaging term meaning useless person. See how strongly. And here there is a footnote, and I saw this footnote, I remember what it is. It says that the cow dung is very auspicious, but the bull dung is not, apparently. Since bull dung lacks the purifying quality of cow dung, only a fool would use it as a purifier in lieu of cow dung. Interesting. Shader Gobar, bull's dung. Or in English, they say bullshit. So, he referred to conciliators as good for nothings or Shader Gobar. Strong word. Strong word. That's how much he valued uncompromising preaching. He cautioned his disciples that a flatterer can neither be a guru nor a preacher, and told them, don't speak to please the Janata, but to please Janardan. Don't try to please the people in general, Janata, but to please Janardan, Krishna. Declare that, the other saying that goes in this name, that Manav Seva is Madhav Seva, or Janata Seva is Janardan Seva. No. Janata Seva means you please them according to what they want. That's not. Janardan Seva is then becomes Janata Seva. Declare that those who do not perform Hari Bhajan, declare that those who do not perform Hari Bhajan are foolish and butchers of their own soul. Declare it publicly. And if you're not doing Krishna Bhakti, you're butchering yourself. Foolish. That's why when Prabhupada used the word fool, rascal, this is truth. The public may not like our message, yet it is incumbent upon us to state the truth. It is our responsibility to strongly refute ideologies opposed to Vaishnava Dharma. Our previous acharyas did so to a great degree, and our only duty is to follow in their footsteps. And our only duty is to follow in their footsteps. Our previous acharyas did so to a great degree. And there is a footnote, I think around here. Is it this one? Let's see. In Gaudiya magazine. Okay. Okay, so different. This is different. Let me see. Okay, now this. Okay. He viewed the disinclination to correct others as being a sign of a cheater. Again, he viewed the disinclination, if you don't have the inclination to correct others, as being the sign of a cheater and warned. Now, this does not mean that we go around correcting others. Correcting others means, first of all, I have to correct myself with that also as well. And when I'm correcting others, that means I have to stand on the corrected platform, not that I stand in the incorrect platform and correct others. No, I should stand on. It should be serving to correct me and to constantly remind me of staying correct and not becoming incorrect, and then correct others. He viewed the disinclination to correct others as being the sign of a cheater and warned, do not associate with so-called sadhus who, by not chastising anyone, do not act for others' welfare. See that? He's saying do not associate with the so-called sadhus who, by not chastising anyone, do not act for others' welfare. By associating with sadhus, the heart should become purified from sinful propensities. The present role of sadhus acting for others' mundane happiness can render no well-being whatsoever. Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura thus personified Lord Chaitanya's statement, Nirapeksha nahile dharma najay rakshane. Without being nirapeksha, impartial, aloof from popular opinion, equitable, one cannot protect dharma. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila 3.23. He explained that nirapeksha means being unaffected by anything material and remaining steady in the Lord's service. This impartial, nirapeksha means impartial. Oh, we should be impartial. Impartial? Oh, we should not advocate for anything strongly. No. Nirapeksha, impartial on the material sense, but always partial on the spiritual side. We should always advocate for spiritual truth, which is Krishna consciousness. And materially, we should be nirapeksha. We should not side one thing or the other. We should be aloof, impartial from popular opinion, equitable. Unless we are like that, we cannot protect dharma. Nirapeksha nahile dharma najay rakshane. That's the thing. He explained that nirapeksha means being unaffected by anything material and remaining steady in the Lord's service. And this is the exact meaning of 214 and 252 of Bhagavad Gita. What is that? Gatasu, not this one. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama payano nityas tam stitikshasu bharata. But especially, we have to be tolerant, in all kinds of things and stay focused on Krishna consciousness. But also the 252 even more so. Yadate moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada nirvedam tata gantasa nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Let me get that right. 252. Yeah, tada gantasa nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. And we have to be like that. Whatever people may hurl at us, don't be affected. Don't be affected. He himself was never swayed by worldly predilections. Predilections, yeah. A preference or a special liking for something, a bias in favor of something. So he was never swayed by worldly predilections, and by his commitment to speaking only the unbiased truth, he firmly protected dharma. Sarasvatī Ṭhākura spoke of aggressive grace and often quoted Pashunam lagudo yatha, that obdurate, inane rascals who cannot be persuaded by reasonable arguments deserve physical punishment as do animals, although he never encouraged his followers to actually administer such chastisement. Pashunam lagudo yatha. This is from the Bhagavatam, I think. Let's see. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:68-31. This is actually spoken by Balaram. So animals, they need to be goaded by stick. So obdurate means inane rascals, foolish rascals cannot be persuaded by reasonable arguments. They deserve physical punishment as do animals. In other words, he's saying that sometimes crude language is necessary. There is aggressive grace. There is grace, mercy, but aggressive mercy. It may be looking like aggressiveness, but actually it is mercy. We should never hate that person when we're doing that. Many people deemed Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī's aggressive triumphalism. You know what is triumphalism? Considering oneself as correct, always correct. Excessive exaltation over one's success or achievements. Excessive exaltation over one's success or achievements. He had that. Aggressive triumphalism. Many people deemed Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī's aggressive triumphalism alien to to the all-accommodating spirit of Hinduism and unbefitting a saintly person. Oh, saintly person should not be like this. That we are right and others are wrong. No, we should not be like that. We should be all-accommodating spirit of Hinduism. Nah. Hence, they questioned his authenticity as a sadhu, opining that his bludgeoning was unnecessary and that it was better to appreciate the good in everyone. To objections that his approach was overly negative and that elaboration on bhakti as a positive process would be more fitting and effective, the harmonist emphatically responded that negativity is required. You know, people want to feel positivity when they meet a sadhu, but in order to expose, there has to be negativity. And Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said, negativity is required. It's not a suggestion, it's a mandate. You see, his bludgeoning means his beating, his like clubbing somebody, or cudgeling, hammering. You see a thick stick with a heavy end used as a weapon. Cudgel, you see cudgel. So his beating, verbal beating means just basically exposing the truth and exposing the untruth and stating the truth. He says bludgeoning was unnecessary and that it was better to appreciate the good in everyone. There's so much good, why are you pointing at the fault? No, there is fault. And that will take one away from Krishna consciousness. People don't see it, but we should be sharp enough to see it. To objections that his approach was overly negative and that elaboration on bhakti as a positive process would be more fitting and effective. If we can just elaborate on bhakti as a positive process and not touch upon the negativeness of the other processes, that would be better. So he said this in the Harmonist magazine. He emphatically responded that negativity is required. And we have shown this quite a few times before. He says the positive method by itself is not the most effective method of propaganda in a controversial age like the present, like this Kali Yuga. The positive method by itself is not the most effective method of propaganda. The negative method, which seeks to differentiate the truth from non-truth in all its forms, is even better calculated to convey the directly inconceivable significance of the Absolute. The negative method, which seeks to differentiate the truth from the non-truth in all its forms, is even better calculated to convey the directly inconceivable significance of the Absolute. It is a necessity which cannot be conscientiously avoided by the dedicated preacher of the truth. That means if you are a dedicated preacher of the truth, you cannot avoid this necessity of negativity. You cannot. If he wants to be a loyal servant of Godhead, otherwise we're disloyal to Godhead. Krishna killed demons and he danced with the gopis. So we have positive things. Yes, Krishna consciousness is such a blissful process, but we should also expose the cheating. It is always blissful. Even the exposing of cheating is also blissful. We should not see that, oh, Narasimhadev is angry. Oh, let's not show this Narasimhadev to people because they'll get afraid. They will not understand. No, let them see, let them question, let them be shocked, and let them inquire. Present Krishna as it is. Don't hide parts of Krishna. Similarly, don't hide parts of Krishna philosophy, which include Dharma Projhita Kaitava. Don't hide that part. As it is means as it is. Otherwise, we are trying to hide Krishna. And that is exactly what Kansa was trying to do. Silence Krishna. No, should not. So, the method is sure to create an atmosphere of controversy in which it is quite easy to lose one's balance of judgment. That's the risk that is there. And we should learn the balance of how to not lose our judgment. But we should stay on point. But even if we sometimes lose balance of judgment, it is better to err on the side of truth than on the side of congeniality or ecumenism or this compromise. The method is sure to create an atmosphere of controversy in which it is quite easy to lose one's balance of judgment. But the ways of the deluding energy, Maya, are so intricate that unless their mischievous nature is fully exposed, it is not possible for the soul in the conditioned state to avoid the snares, that means the traps, spread by the enchantress Maya for encompassing the ruin of her only two willing victims. We are willing victims of Maya. You know what is a willing victim? There is a modern phrase for this, a term for this. Stockholm syndrome. You know what is Stockholm syndrome? They are willing victims. Too willing. They call it Stockholm syndrome. You know, it happens when the victims of abuse, because they have been maintained by the abusers, when they tend to protect the abusers, although they are the abused, they tend to protect the abusers because they feel without them they cannot live. They're attached to this abuser, and after all, he's maintaining me. He may be, but he still has love for me. Otherwise, why would he give me lunch, or why would he maintain me, accommodate me, or something like that? So when it happened, this thing happened actually in Stockholm, Sweden, and that's why the name. And when the abusers were going to be arrested, these abused people, they went and spoke in defense of the abusers. Please don't arrest them. They also had nice sides to them. They also maintained us. So to think of, they're willing victims. They're not abused who are unwillingly victimized. They are victims, but they are willing to be victims. We are like that in Maya. And there is a verse for that in Bhagavatam 3:35. Willing victims, not unwilling victims. We are willing to be the victim. I want to be one. And this, you see. Narakasthopi deham vai napumam tyaktumichhati. Narakyam nirvritau satyam devamaya vimohitah. The conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life. While deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy, he feels little inclined to cast off his body. That means he hardly feels he hardly feels that he needs to give up this body of an animal life. Even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. He takes delight in hellish enjoyment. He's in hell. He feels little inclined, that means hardly inclined, to cast off his body even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. Stockholm syndrome, willing victim. So we are willing victims of Maya. We want to be under Maya. And therefore, let's go back to the other PDF again. I don't know if we can finish it today. The rate at which we're going, we're not going to finish it. Wow. We'll go do another half an hour. If we don't finish it, this is going to be part 1, and we're going to do a part 2 sometime, probably after the Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's appearance day, because we won't have time until then. So again, anyway, okay, so with that understanding, let's understand the sentence again. But the ways of the deluding energy, which is Maya, are so intricate, so clever, so intricate, we can't easily identify, that unless their mischievous nature is fully exposed, it is not possible for the soul in the conditioned state to avoid the snares or the traps spread by the enchantress, Maya, for encompassing the ruin. It means to completely secure our ruin. She wants to ensure that we are ruined. We don't have a way out. In every single way, she wants to ruin us. For encompassing the ruin of her only 2 willing victims. We are anyway wanting to be victimized by Maya, and she wants to ensure it without the slightest trace. So she puts all sorts of traps. Oh, you're religious? Okay. Maya gives some pseudo-religion. Oh, you're such a good devotee, no? Yeah, you're actually a great Pandit. Give the pride and think you're very learned, and then pride goes before fall. So in this way, she has so many tricks up her sleeve, and she will not compromise in putting forth every single obstacle to test whether we are really there for Krishna or not, or whether we are something else. We are for something else, and if we are for something else, we will fall away at some point. So we have to always. That's why, in the 19th chapter of Madhya Lila Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, as you receive the seed of bhakti, bhaktilata bij, from the Guru and Krishna Prasad, then you have to water by Shravan and Kirtan process, and then you have to constantly weed out, you remove the weeds. So we have to be cautious of where the weeds are coming in, because the weed may completely overpower the plant and destroy the creeper of bhakti. So constant weeding has to be done. So constantly identifying, constantly noticing where I can go wrong, that's introspection. That precisely is introspection. And that has to be not only introspecting ourselves, but also help others introspect themselves by stating explicitly what the faults are, what the slight flavor of a fault is. Because Maya does not present an absolute Rahu in front of the sun. No. She does not present, oh, you are at light, okay, here is darkness, so attractive. No, for the person who is with light, it's not as attractive, it is disgusting. So what she does not immediately present darkness. She'll present little bit less luminous, a little less, until over time we get used to the decline in the intensity of light, and eventually we accept a very dim light as actually the source of light, and we become satisfied. Actually, at least I'm getting some light. From the sun, we have degenerated to the lamp in a dark room, and finally that also gone, darkness, the fireflies. That's how Maya comes. Very subtly. The shift is very imperceptible. Pernicious. The word is pernicious. pernicious effects of Maya. It is a duty. What is a duty? This negative preaching. Negative means to actually call out, speak out, pronounce it, pronounce the cheating actively. And that is a duty which shall be sacred to all who have been enabled to attain even a distant glimpse of the Absolute. This is an important sentence, the last one, because it is said, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura can speak like that because he's so powerful. We are not Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. We are not Prabhupada, and therefore we should not speak the same way. No. Who have been enabled to attain even a distant glimpse of the Absolute. That means who is even a neophyte. It is his duty as well. It is his sacred duty. It is a duty which shall be sacred to all who have been enabled to attain even a distant glimpse of the Absolute. He is not yet too close to the Absolute Truth yet. Not too close to Krishna, not a pure devotee of Krishna yet. He attained a distant glimpse of the Absolute. He has begun his devotional life. Even for such a person, it's a sacred duty to call out the negative, call out the adharma, and distinguish it from dharma. We should always preach about dharma, yes, but we should also say what is adharma so that people will clearly see it. And we clearly see it. Because if we don't pronounce it often enough, we ourselves will become victims of the snares spread by the enchantress for encompassing the ruin of us who are her too willing victims. In numerous speeches and articles, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī insisted that an actual sadhu must speak strongly. The only duty of sadhus is to cut away all the accumulated wicked propensities of every individual. The only duty of sadhus is to cut away all the accumulated wicked propensities of every individual. This alone is the causeless natural desire of all sadhus. Worldly persons possess a double nature. They express one kind of sentiment, but internally cherish a different purpose. Moreover, they want to advertise this duplicity as a mark of liberalism or love of harmony. Wow, this is so useful for introspection. Because where does that liberalism or the love of harmony, superficial harmony, come from? It comes from an internal double nature that we express one kind of sentiment externally to the world, to the devotees, but internally cherish a different purpose. Internally, some other motivation is driving us. But externally, I want to be showing off as a devotee, and therefore, this duplicity, they want to advertise this duplicity as a mark of liberalism or love of harmony. This is very, very useful for introspection. Because how it shows up externally and what is the internal cause very clearly is spelled out here. And that's what Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is doing here. All the time he does that. Very clearly shows us our internal motivation that is giving rise to this external behavior. Sometimes even we don't see it. We don't see it ourselves. What is actually, why this is correct and why am I feeling the other way? I don't see it, but this helps. Those who are unwilling to show any duplicity, who desire to be frank and straightforward, or in other words, to exercise unambiguously the function of the soul, such really sincere individuals are called sectarian and orthodox by those who practice duplicity. So, this is very interesting. So the words sectarian, that's why we should not really adopt these words. Don't get carried away by when these words are used often by worldly people. Oh, you're so sectarian. Should be a little more inclusive. You're too exclusive. Orthodox, you're too rigid. You're not too inviting. Yeah, we don't invite hypocrisy. We don't invite It's not welcome. So it should not be welcome within us nor in others. So those who practice duplicity, they will they call the frank, straightforward, unambiguous devotees, preachers, sincere individual preachers, as sectarian and orthodox. But we should not be discouraged by that or demoralized by that. By all means, we must avoid bad company. We will cultivate the association only of those who are straightforward and avoid the company of others. By all means, we must avoid bad company. We are advised to keep a distance of 100 cubits. Means I think from elbow to the on. That means social distancing, basically. 100 cubits from animals or horned. We are advised to keep a distance of 100 cubits from animals of the horned species. So I don't know where it is, but maybe some Shastric advisory, which is that we should stay far away from animals which have horns, not go too close to them, because obviously we will be attacked, or if we are attacked, we won't last. So for our own safety, it is mentioned, we are advised to keep a distance of 100 cubits from animals of the horned species and should observe the same caution in regard to all insincere persons. He has his flavor of wording and diction and rhetoric. That is very sharp and inspiring and penetrating. So reading on, so that's a quote from somewhere, 16. We're not going to go to the footnotes now because we don't have that much time and it's already almost 10 o'clock. We can't finish this today at all. We have a lot more to cover. Let's see, another 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, and then we will have to continue. I think next Monday, instead of Chaitanya Charitamrita, we will go through this until we finish. Monday, Tuesday will be this. If Monday we can finish, good. If can't, then Tuesday again until we finish it. All the next classes, except for the maybe Friday morning Bhagavatam class, if it is there. All classes from here, the studio, will be on this until it is finished. I thought I could finish, but yeah, it was actually a lot of ground to cover. Probably I will just stop it here. I'll actually stop it here because from here it's a slightly different arc and I would want to cover that in the next session. All right, so thank you for putting up. It requires courage, it requires some spiritual strength actually. Hridaya Daurbalyam, when Arjuna did not want to fight the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna called him Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam. This is my like finishing thoughts on today's topic. Let me take it out. All right. Two, three. Klaibyam masmagamah partha naitattvai upapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktvottishta parantapa. This is very much relatable to us. Applicable to us. You see, Klaibyam, importance. If you don't have potency in spiritual life, here the focus he's saying in a way that is, your Klaibyam means, Klibaha means eunuch. An important person is a eunuch. But spiritually, we should not be impotent. We have to be potent. In order to be potent preachers, you see, Klaibyam masmagamah partha naitattvai upapadyate Kshudram hridaya daurbalyam, petty weakness of the heart. Tyaktva uttishtha parantapa. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. We need spiritual strength to be able to have the courage to stand for dharma and kill the demon of adharma in the realm of thought, in the realm of ideology. Not, of course, kill means we don't go about killing. We kill the ideology. We have to kill the ideology in the masses. We have to replace it with Krishna Bhakti. So in the beginning, there will be agitation. Yes, there will be. It will be a commotion. But we should not shy away from that. We cannot yield to degrading impotence that comes with hridaya daurbalyam. Daurbalyam means, kshudram means petty. Petty, hridaya daurbalyam. Petty because, just now Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said, our thought, our words, this philosophy, Krishna consciousness philosophy is eternal. Even after the time itself has ceased to exist, these words will not die, will endure. So ours is so, it does not need to adjust to opinions which are popular for a while in this world. So we should always stay with our eternal viewpoint and change them to accept this. That is strength. When we deflect from that and then adopt those thoughts, that is hridaya daurbalyam. There is a weakness in our heart, spiritual weakness. We cannot have that. We have to, you see, chastiser of the enemy. We have to chastise the enemy. What is the enemy? Adharma, Maya. So we have to remove the Maya in the minds of the people, in the hearts of the people, and we have to chastise that. And therefore, that means we have to speak strongly. We cannot become weak. And how would we get that bala? By the mercy of Balaram. Balaram is the Adi Guru. And our Guru, Prabhupada, is the representative of Balaram. He preaches us and whole Guru Parampara. In fact, there is another quote in the same chapter. We will maybe come to that in our next session. That says, Madhvacharya is quoted. Madhvacharya says, the blasphemer of religion goes to hell. Anybody who blasphemes real religious principles and presents a pseudo-religion and cheating religion, he will go to hell. But the person who is in knowledge and who does not expose such a cheater of religion will go to a hell darker than the one who than the one which is by the blasphemer of religion himself. The one who does not expose it goes to a darker hell. Madhvacharya is saying that. So our whole parampara, they are all uncompromising preachers of truth. None of them accepted any other thing other than Krishna consciousness. Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was explicit in his expression. And that is actually mercy. Otherwise, how would we know what is the standard of pure devotion? You know, that song by Vasudeva Ghosh. Jadi gaur na hoito, tabe ki hoito, kemone dharitam de, Radhar mahima, prema rasa sima, jagate janato ke. Radhar mahima, prema rasa sima, jagate janato ke, jadi gaur na hoito. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wasn't there, who would have understood Radharani's love for Krishna? Radharani's love for Krishna is completely devoid of all cheating so-called bhakti, right? So we should understand what is Radharani Gopi Bhava, what is the perversion of it, what is, everything. Similarly, without Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, without Prabhupada, how would we have known what is the standard of devotion at all? Forget about Prema Rasa Sima. What is actually bhakti? Who would have known if it was not for Prabhupada, if it was not for Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, if it was not for Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all our acharyas in our disciplic succession? So Maintaining parampara means to maintain this mood and method that is here shown by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. The thing is, all acharyas had the same viewpoint or the same stance on exposing. But we have such abundance of historical anecdotal evidence in the case of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura because of the recording of his writings and remembrances of his devotee disciples and everything. There's so much record, so we can study it in detail. But every single acharya has the same disposition, without exception. Bhagavatam itself, Vyasadeva, dharma projhita kaitavatra, kaitav dharma projhita, kicking out all cheating religion. That's why in the Bhagavatam you will see mention of cheating religions. You will see it. Karma kanda, jnana kanda, and also cheating religions like Vena, it was atheistic religion was there. So many mentions of so many things. Piety, so-called devotion, but actually only wanting to do with pious and not really pure devotion, like Vritrasura and Indra, classic example, where Indra was a devotee, Vritrasura was a devotee, but Vritrasura far higher of a standard of a devotee than Indra. Indra is considered like a child, comparative to Vritrasura. Similarly, there is a Bali Maharaj and Shukracharya, for example, what a guru should not do and how a disciple should reject such guru. That is not just positive explanation of truth, but also the explicit mention of the negative, that you should reject such guru. So the rejection of what is untruth, asat. So it was not a sadguru. Shukracharya turned out to be not a sadguru, but asadguru. So he was rejected by the proper disciple. So everything is mentioned. So Putana is a non-devotee, in fact a demon, in the guise of a devotee. And Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura wrote a whole article about that, the metaphorical meaning of Putana and what it means in the preaching scene. And that will also, part of that article will be also quoted in this chapter. So bala, we need strength, spiritual strength. If our sadhana is strong and if we really choose only Krishna bhakti, then we will become more and more attached to that. We will give up everything else other than Krishna bhakti, every ideology that is against Krishna bhakti. We cannot tolerate, it irks us, it has to make us uncomfortable if there is anything other than pure Krishna bhakti. That's how we should be. That's the status of a devotee. And therefore, he should be preaching like that as well. So, all right, that's my final thoughts on today's episode. We'll see any questions. So the question is, when we preach about renouncing material activities and fully engaging in devotional service, people take shelter in Bhagavad Gita 8.7 and justify their materialistic activities. Okay. When we say full surrender to Krishna, it does not immediately mean that all people must take sannyas. No, that's not possible. Not possible. So, but they have to adopt the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the process of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Harinam. So they don't need to completely leave. Sthane sthita shrutigatam. So they can stay wherever they are, but they adopt this hearing of Harikatha, Krishna Katha, proper, Punya Shravana Kirtanam, from the proper, authorized, as it is, not compromised. Such Harikatha they must listen to and read such books, chant Hare Krishna, contribute to the movement financially, and actively take part in active service in the movement. All of it must be done. All of Sarvalabdha Arpanena Cha. So as much as is possible, we must contribute to the movement of the Guru, the preaching movement of the Guru. Otherwise, we have no. If we say, I am a disciple of Prabhupada, but I have no devotion to the movement of Prabhupada, that's not devotion to Prabhupada. We have to be devoted to the movement as well. The movement is non-different from Prabhupada. So, I should contribute to the movement, pranair, arthair, dhiya, vacha, whatever is possible, I must. So if I accept the proper conclusion and follow the principles and become humble and learn, yes, that is proper. That is still the path of surrender. They can still work, and then at the same time remember Krishna. And eventually, because they're becoming more and more sincere, eventually Krishna will also make plans for them, make arrangements for them, so that they can completely take to Krishna Bhakti without any distraction. It may come, and even if it don't, it may look like they are in the material world, but actually they are spiritual if they are fully Krishna conscious. So it is not a contradiction. 8-7 doesn't go against full surrender to Krishna at all. Where do I find this literature? So it is Sri Bhaktisiddhānta Vaibhav. I think in Vrindavan Loy Bazaar you will have this thing. There's a PDF version of it. I prefer to read in the physical volume, but for the screen I have to show all the text. So only for these live streams I use the PDF. But I highly recommend actually getting the physical copy. You can get it in Loy Bazaar in Radha Rasbirhari Lal and Sons shop. You can get this book. It's a 3-book set. This is volume 1. Please kindly leave a link to the materials used under the description for detailed study. All right, we can do that probably. Prabhupada says if this movement makes one pure devotee, it's a success. So if someone comes across any of these classes and starts following seriously, that's success. Thank you. Apparently, many devotees left the movement when the 5th canto of Bhagavatam was released by Prabhupada. Is that so? So Prabhupada, only Prabhupada account is saying 1715 verse is quoted. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing and beneficial and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature. So this is true, and in the course of preaching the truth, we don't have to always agitate them unnecessarily, because the truth itself will agitate them anyway. Truth will agitate them, and calling out their cheating will also agitate them. So as much pressure as is needed needs to be applied. So each situation will be different. Sometimes more pressure has to be applied, sometimes not so much, but still uncompromising preaching must be done. Absolutely must be done. And actually Prabhupada writes in the purport as well, sometimes it is not possible, even among the, like, let's read the purport of that 1715. We should try. Anudvega karam vakyam. Udvega means agitation. Anudvega karam, words which don't agitate. One should not speak in such a way as to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. This is penance as far as talking is concerned. So this is the actual thing. Students, he can speak strongly. To not students, should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. This is penance as far as talking is concerned. Besides that, one should not talk nonsense. The process of speaking in spiritual circles is to say something upheld by the scriptures. One should at once quote from scriptural authority to back up what he's saying. At the same time, such talk should be very pleasurable to the ear. But by such discussions, one may derive the highest benefit and elevate human society. There is a limitless stock of Vedic literature, and one should study this. This is called penance of speech. So this seemingly stands in contrast with what Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is saying, right? So which should we adopt? Our guru is Prabhupada. Actually, you will see later part of this chapter in Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura also, that how he is asking us to soften our blow a little bit so that it is heard. So we will get to that also. But in other places, Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat. Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat. Ma Bruyat, Satyam Abruyat. If one speaks the truth, he should speak it palatably. One should not speak unpalatable truth, is the saying. But you see, Prabhupada, Prabhupada is saying, so people may not like it. It may be very unpalatable. What is that? If you defy your laws of your state as you are put into difficulty, similarly, if you continue to defy the authority, the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, then the same result. Again, you become rat. As soon as there is an atomic bomb, everything, all civilization on the surface of the globe will be finished. So people may not like it. It may be very unpalatable, but the fact is like that. It is social convention that if you want to speak truth, you speak truth very palatable, flattering. Don't speak unpalatable truth. But we are not meant for that purpose, social convention. We are preacher. We are servant of God. This is in 1968, Prabhupada is saying this. We are servant of God. We must speak the real truth. You may like it or may not like it. That a godless civilization cannot be happy in any stage. That is a fact. Therefore, we have started this Krishna consciousness movement to awaken this godless civilization that you try to love God. This is the simple fact. So, he's saying that point. And he mentions this many, many times. You see, Ramakrishna Mission, let's talk about it. Okay, Prabhupada. No, even they are aware. So many came and they are not coming because the nonsense was stopped. They Swamiji they have not come. They want that whatever nonsense they have learned, I have to confirm. You see, this is what they want. When they come to meet Prabhupada, many people, they will learn something nonsense. That they want Prabhupada as a sadhu to confirm what, yes, good, well said. Yeah, true. And then they will also smile. Prabhupada also smile. Everybody can smile. But no. You see, they want that whatever nonsense they have learned, I have to confirm, yes, that is right. Just like the Ramakrishna Mission says, whatever you do, it is all right. I have to say that. Then I am good. As soon as I say, you are wrong, nonsense, rascal, you do not know anything, then laughter, everybody laughing. Prabhupada also laughing. Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat, Ma Bruyat, Satyam Apriyam. You tell truth, but it must be very palatable. If you say truth unpalatable, then you will create enemies. But what can I do so? But how can I do so in the spiritual knowledge? Okay, so many instances. Prabhupada quotes this, and then he says that a preacher cannot conform to that thing. But generally, we should speak pleasingly, yes. But we should also point out faults, and we should not shy away from that. Speaking pleasingly means we can humbly present the truth, but the truth and nothing but the truth. Yeah, 11:26:26 is quoted. Yes, so that is very important verse. The cutting words of the sadhu. Tato duhsangamutsrijya satsu sajjeta buddhiman santa eva sachindanti mano vyasangamuktibhihi. An intelligent person should therefore reject all bad association and instead take up the association of saintly devotees whose words cut off the excessive attachment of one's mind. Saintly devotees' words should cut off, otherwise they're not saintly persons. Yeah, and this is that Antya 323. Tomasama nirapeksha nahi mora gane, nirapeksha nahile dharma na jaye rakshane. You are the most neutral among my associates. This is very good, for without being neutral, one cannot protect religious principles. Okay. All right, I think I will stop here. Thank you very much. We will continue it in the next, maybe Monday. Friday is appearance day of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. And as we go into that day, let's remember what the mood of his preaching was and how we should also adopt that. We should embrace that and not try to escape that. Okay, thank you very much. Shri Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.